Boston wrestling sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
Tony, it is Valentine's Day weekend. It is Saturday night. Elton John said Saturday night's all right, baby.
Yes, it is. You know, you go out and get the candy, get the flower. A happy wife, happy life.
Well, he would know. He would know.
Yeah.
He's a man of great wisdom. Your Valentine's Day special from several years ago is available in the archives on our YouTube when you talked about everything from love and romance to whistling in the wheat fields. Nonetheless, tonight we have 4 big episodes for you to enjoy. As we like to say, this is one-stop shopping. It is difficult for folks to tune in sometimes 4 nights a week for the premieres, as much as we love to have you. We have the premiere going tonight to my right. The Super Chat is open if you want to tip the bartender for all the great content we're going to be bringing your way over the next several hours. It's fun on Saturday night. It's almost like the golden days of NBC's Saturday Night Main Event. Only right. Instead of in-ring, we got the stories to tell, and we're going to open this week's fine show. We're going to take a look at this week's Wrestling Insiders at your house with myself and this guy, the Hoffer himself, Tony Atlas. Stand by. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the Hall of Famer in WWE, the Bodybuilding Hall of Famer. You're in 2 different bodybuilding Hall of Fames, I know that.
Yeah, powerlifting and Hall of Fame.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You have more Hall of Fame rings than most people have
get
fingers.
Another one.
In May, down in Texas.
If the virus don't hurt, I go into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Me and Tommy Wildfire Rich and the Rock and Roll Express.
And I hope to go with you if they allow people in.
Yeah,
I spoke to John.
Do Boston Wrestling with the new Hall of Fame.
I spoke to Johnny Mantell via email, so we're looking to make some fun happen. We'll have to wait and see how it works out. A lot can change between now and May, as we know. But nonetheless, Tony, we made the big announcement that Atlas World News is coming back, where you're going to share your thoughts podcast style on current events. For wrestling fans that hate politics, don't watch it, because that's what the show is probably going to be about primarily. It's going to be a weekly podcast style. We're going to try and tape 4 of them. And if you guys like it and support it, we'll keep doing it. If you don't like it, we'll send it out to pasture, so to speak.
But you know, to say that people are not interested in politics, this last election, more people voted for President Trump and President Biden than ever before.
Yep.
So you have more people more involved in politics
than ever.
People are starting to realize they can't sit back and just let the government do what they want and not have no say-so about it. So, and I think 24-hour news got a lot to do with it. That brought people, but I think President Trump brought a lot of people into politics that ordinarily was not interested in politics. So, I'm not, saying that he was a great president. He was not a bad president. I want to say that. He was not a bad president. But
well, let's save this for Atlas World News, Tony. This is Wrestling Insiders.
Well, I got more.
All right.
He brought more people more involved. So I think within the last 4 years, more people, young, and what surprised me, so many young people. The politics used to be a thing for just older
people. Yeah.
People in their 40s and up. But I'm always shocked when I'm able to talk to a young person and get involved.
Much more engaged.
Yeah. You got more people engaged in politics. So the old myth of no politics is pretty much out the window now.
Well, I tell you this, I think the fans that enjoy that type of show, they're going to be in for a treat. Hopefully we can get it started within the next week or two. We're going to try it for 4 weeks in a row and see what you guys think. But here on Wrestling Insiders at your house every Tuesday night at 10
and they
p.m.
can send in questions too.
And they can email us questions.
That relate to politics, like what you think on this, or what you think about this, or what you think about Joe Biden, what you think about Nancy Pelosi, what you think about...
Yeah.
They can get involved.
All right.
Because everybody got an opinion about what they think of going on in their country. So this is a great time for not only for me to just talk about politics, but for you and me to answer some of
their questions.
Our question. And with us, what is the difference between me and you and a politician? You would get a straight answer.
Right.
you ain't going to ask me about the weather, and I started talking about something else. We will stick to the subject and try to answer your question in the best way possible. So fans, if you're interested in this, send in your questions about different subjects and things that is happening in our world, which is a lot.
The email address is rotating through the show, bw@bostonwrestling.com.
We would love to comment on your question. So
Atlas World News is going to be fun.
Yes, it will be.
All right, well, let's talk wrestling, Tony. Your friend, The Undertaker, has set the wrestling world on fire with some of his comments on the Joe Rogan podcast.
No, I didn't hear that.
Well, so you're going to hear it. Jackie, if you could,
what did he say?
Keep the camera on Tony. I want to see his facial reaction to what Undertaker said, as well as the response he got throughout the wrestling world. Undertaker said, I think the product is a little soft. There are obviously guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty, not enough substance, I think, right now. And that era of guys, too, those were men. You go into a dressing room nowadays, and it's a lot different. I remember walking into my first dressing room, and all you saw was some crusty fucking men. Half of them had guns and knives in their bag. Shit got handled back then. Now you walk in, there's guys playing video games, and fucking make sure they look pretty. It's evolution, I guess. I don't know what it is. But I just like those eras, man. I liked men when they were men. I try to, as far as watching the show, he said, I try. It's tough right now for me. The product has changed so much, and it's kind of off. I'll probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. It is what it is. To the young guys who think he's a bitter old guy, I'm not bitter. I did my time. I walked away when I wanted to walk away. I just think the product is a little soft. There's guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty and not enough substance right now. One of the big things that happened was that the generation before, we all got old at the same time, so there weren't enough guys to work with the young guys. You can listen to fans, or you can listen to someone who's been there and done it. There were just not enough of merging of the young and new talent. We had Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. We were all working together, and then we aged out. We aged out, and it left all these young guys to learn with more young guys, and the product changed. That led to a slew of responses, Tony. Drew McIntyre, he did not agree with Undertaker whatsoever. But Goldberg had this to say in response to Undertaker. Yes, I believe comparatively the business is soft compared to the 90s, but the business is in 2021. So things have to change, and things have to be different. We had megastars that were bigger than life, but it's hard in this generation seemingly to build those people. I mean, like I said, times are quite different than they were back in the day, but people are soft. People take offense to things way too quickly. I mean, grow a thicker skin, boys and girls. That's all I can say. Then Mick Foley, on the other hand, Mick said, the wrestlers of today are every bit as tough as they were in his era. Then it continued with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, the current United States champion in WWE, he said, yeah, I don't want to say I agree with him completely, actually, because it's Taker. I can say I agree with him, so I agree with him. You know what? That's what the Hurt Business is about. I mean, that's why we came about, because we were like, what are we? And I was like, we're different from this generation. Our generation came up when I was in OVW about to go out on the road. Everybody was warning us. They were like, man, you know JBL, you got Chris Benoit, you have Bob Holly, you have Undertaker, you have Booker T. All these guys, not one of these guys are punks. Fit Finlay, William Regal, not one of these guys have an ounce of punk in them. So we were all like, that's our generation. So coming in now, we were like, we can't do this generation. We can't do what this generation is doing. We don't want to do what this generation is doing. We need to put our style on this generation, and our style is bring them in the ring and beat them up. And if they can't make it, they can't make it because we got to protect the business. Before I was coming up, all these guys used to say they were beating up the guys coming up because they had to protect the business. They had to make sure these guys had the heart to do it. We don't want guys in the locker room crying. We don't want guys that are always bitching and belly aching and everything like that. We beat them up and kick them out. And some of the guys, when we do that in the ring, you do your little flippies and jumpies and all that stuff. I'm just going to grab you, throw you down, and beat you up. That was Bobby Lashley. And then one more from the WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. It's strange. I feel like he misspoke because Mark is a really good guy. He's very knowledgeable. Obviously, he has tons of respect for the business. Goldberg is just Goldberg. Who cares? But he's talking about guns and knives in the locker room. Come on. You guys traveled just like we did. Did you really get that stuff through security? TSA was just letting everything happen like that. I think it was just a retired guy trying to sound like a gangster.
No.
That's what Roman said about Undertaker.
What the hell Roman know? Ask his dad. Ask Sika.
Tony, what do you think about
Sika was scared
badass
people, and we didn't. He didn't worry about going through the airport. We didn't fly. Roma, we didn't fly, brother. We drove these damn trips. We was in the car. The only time we got in the airplane, we went to Pittsburgh, and I drove it one time, and the wrestlers got mad at me. Said, Tony, don't drive to Pittsburgh no more, because this is the only time we get on an airplane, and they would take they would make all of us driving once they found out it's drivable. That's the only time we got on a freaking plane. We went to Pittsburgh. What takers? I've been saying that for how long? I've been saying that.
So you agree with Undertaker?
What did I say about what I would do with Roma, with these guys? What I call these guys? Think about it. You know, I'm a senior citizen, and I believe I can whoop half of these guys. You know, they are wimps. I roll with them. They cry about everything. They're scared to take a shower with another man. I used to clear the shower. I used to go in the shower and tell them, hey, you sure got a cute butt. They would put their clothes on and leave the freaking dressing room. They're so scared. I used to scare guys myself. There was guys that were scared of me when I was there with Mark Henry. They're a bunch of punks.
So you think Undertaker was right?
100% right. And we all know it. It's no big secret. Most of them can't whoop their way out of a wet paper bag. They would never let these guys in the freaking business when I first started. I mean, they used to test you. See, wrestling used to be, that's what Taker talk about. See, people don't know wrestling. And people come and say, Tony, I remember you when wrestling was for real. I remember I hit Gene Anderson one time. And I can't say it the way Gene said it because it's a real
No, you can say it. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
You positive?
Positive.
Gene Anderson, these his words now. You fucking cunt, you with them big fucking arms of yours, there's Harley, you can hit, you piece of shit, hit me. So I said, okay. And I drew back and I whacked him in the chest as hard as I fucking could. Gene Anderson, oh yeah, that's good, kid, lay him in. My whole freaking arm was bruised from hitting this man. Johnny Valentine would get you up against the freaking rope, and you be black and blue all through here when they get through. Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair would chop each other so hard they were busting blood vessels in people's chest. I'm only we had to get color, mean blood. Blood, you know, everybody thought the blood was fake. It was not. It was real blood. It was real blood. So this guy, they used to cut the head with a razor blade. So a guy would forget, don't have the blade. I don't have a blade. I didn't carry a blade. There's a walk right there. Anybody got a blade? No, nobody got a blade. Okay, we got to do it the hard way tonight. So they would keep pounding you in the head. They bust you freaking open. Most times they would cut you across
right above the eyebrow.
With that eyebrow, yeah. And sometimes they would take your head, and there used to be a screw that stick out the back of the turnbuckle. Some of these old boxing rings. In the older days, the rings were for boxing, especially in New York. They didn't have wrestling rings then back in the 70s and 80s.
Those must have been stiff.
Stiff. My God, it was like taking a bump on concrete. I mean, when you hit, you know how the guy hit and do that little bounce? When you fell in one of them rings like in 1980, when you hit, to go thump. Nothing moved. It went thump. Why is that guy didn't want to take them bumps? It was like thump. Yeah, it was like thump. Because it was like falling on a concrete floor. Guys used to go out in bars. One of the ways of drawing houses in the older days, go to a bar, get in a fight, and turn the bar out.
That's what Jackie likes to do on the weekends before coronavirus.
Turn the whole bar. Now you talk about like 3 wrestlers. 3. We're going to a bar and whoop everybody in there. And Sweet Hansen was really known for this, him and Harley Race. You know, you ask CM Punk about being in bars with Harley in these bar fights. CM Punk, you know, he would tell you because he was trained by Harley Race, and he saw Harley Race like I had. Like I told you about the fight with Butch Reed and Harley Race. So we used to go into bar fights, and guys did carry guns and knives in their bag because you didn't get to go home like you do now. So you have a guy, he would be.
You didn't have the, and I think Roman Reigns is a fantastic talent. But you know what? You didn't have the luxury of, when there was a full-time schedule, to be on 4 days and then go home for 3.
No, you wish. I mean,
that's why I didn't like his comments, and I like Roman.
We got 10 days off a year, and that was the 15th of December to the 25th of December. The 26th, you was right back on the road. And the only day they had off then was New Year's Eve. And the only reason Vince would let us off New Year's Eve because nobody would come to the show because they're all at the bars. Yeah. He said, we're not going to compete against bars. Another day that Vince used to give us off was Super Bowl. He tried to run a show one time before with the Super Bowl. Now they do, well, in the regular days now, they do a matinee. In the afternoon, at 1 o'clock. It was a Super Bowl, and he tried to run against a Super Bowl one time before. And we all ended up getting a hotel. He didn't. I think he sold like 10 tickets.
Oh wow, that bad?
What bad?
Wow.
Bad. And so we all.
You're talking about Vince Senior?
Vince Jr.
Oh, Jr.
Senior never tried it. Senior, but Jr. Jr. wanted to run against the Super Bowl one time. So we all went to the hotel room that day, and was surprised that we did, because Vince paid a lot of money to try to get a commercial on the Super Bowl. A commercial now. And we sat there watching the Super Bowl, and Hulk Hogan popped up doing a right guard commercial, painting a picture.
Yeah.
Vince didn't know.
Oh, he didn't even know he did
Everything. Vince didn't get nothing for Hogan. People don't know that.
I knew that Hogan set that up on his own, but Vince didn't even know about it until it aired? Oh, wow.
He saw it with us on the TV.
Oh, he must have been a little feisty about that.
He was hotter than a half fox in the forest fire. But Hogan, a lot of stuff Hogan got on his own. See, they used to send Hogan to meet these people. Well, Hogan was smart. He was like Tony Rumba. Mario would send Tony somewhere. Yeah. Tony would keep the contact information. Yep. So then when Hogan got a little chance or had a little time off, that's why they used to keep the boys busy all the time.
So they couldn't.
Right, because I asked Vince Jr. one time, and I said, how come we doing all these spot shows? He said, Tony, if it was up to me, I wouldn't do house shows. I would just do pay-per-view and TV. It was up to me. He said, the only reason that I let these guys free is so they don't get involved in other stuff. He's like, keep business so don't get involved in other stuff. That's probably why he did what he did with the Facebook thing you were telling me about. The day that Yang was doing, that senator. Remember
Andrew Yang?
Andrew Yang. Remember you asked me a few sessions back. Said, what did I think of Andrew Yang?
Yeah.
He said that Vince should not control what the guys do on Facebook.
Oh, right, yeah.
Remember
Oh,
that?
I see what you mean
That's
now.
why
Yeah,
Vince
okay.
is doing that, because with that, they can get involved in something else. Every time I had a bodybuilding contest, they would try to block me. They would tell me I got the day off. Right, they would tell me I got the day off, and then they would call. But the old time wrestler told me, said, don't answer the phone, Tony, if you want to go to this contest, because what's going to happen, as soon they're going to wait till the day of the contest. He said they're going to wait till the day of the contest, then they're going to call you and tell you they need you. He said even if he said they probably don't even need you. At one time I fell for it. I went to the show. I sat in the freaking dressing room. They didn't even use me. He said, well, Vince just wants you here just in case somebody didn't show up. Just so I don't go to the contest. You understand? Mm-hmm. So I fell for it, the trick, a couple of times. After he done that to me once, every time I had a contest, I go to get the day off, and Vince said, yes, you can have the day off. And then the phone would ring, and ring, and ring, and ring. And
no caller ID back then.
And it was no caller ID. and I did not answer because I knew it was them. I knew it.
And I'll tell you this, they can be relentless when it comes to phone calls.
And what Undertaker said is 100% right. I'm willing to bet right now that 80% of the wrestling fans feel the same way.
I think it's more.
And the reason is because they know that these guys are My wife, when I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, I asked her, what does she think of the wrestlers? She said, well, some of them are good. She said, but a lot of them, and she was in her 60s at that time. She said, a lot of them I could whoop. When she saw Evan Bourne walk by her, you should have seen Chief J. Strongbow when Rey Mysterio and Evan Bourne walked by her. Freaking Chief almost had Chief almost not let him in the back.
Really?
And he went there for a visit. He was not working there. This was like in 2008. I was managing Mark Henry. Around 2008, 2009, right before Chief died. Him and his wife came for a visit. Mm-hmm. And Chief was then, what, in his 70s, maybe 80? And he looked at half of the wrestlers. He said, what in the hell happened to the business? He said, they're all freaking midgets.
I had that conversation with Jerry Briscoe when he was with us last year. I said, what happened to all the big guys?
They're all midgets. John Law now used to ask me all the time, said, Tony, you got any big guys for the business? You got any big guys? We starving for business. But see, here where they shot themselves in the foot. They fix it so you got one business to work for. So the gamble is too great. It's like playing a slot machine. It's 1,000 to 1 that you make it. So most people wouldn't take the chance. In the older days, you could get guys, because we felt if we don't make it with the WWF, we would go to Mid-Atlantic, or we go to Georgia, or we go to Florida, or we go to Portland, Oregon, or we go to Canada, or we go to Japan, or we go to Puerto Rico. There was other options, but when they boiled it down to only having one option, that made less people getting interested in being a wrestler because they did not see a future for themselves in it. The little guys took advantage of it because they know that was their opportunity to be something in life that normally they would have never got the chance at. That's why even you go on the independent shows, I don't care what wrestling group you go to, you see the same thing with Vince, you see on the independent show, you see a whole lot of guys, the guys in the ring that couldn't whoop their way out of a wet paper bag, and the people paying their money is looking at this, go, how in the fuck did this guy get in the business? And that's what most wrestling fans think when they see the talent that Vince put out there. How many times you ever hear me say that I said I wanted to fight Brock Lesnar?
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason for it, Brock Lesnar, the only thing Vince got outside of Triple H that looked like a freaking wrestler.
I think Lashley does.
Yeah, but Bobby Lashley's only about 5'8".
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Bobby's bigger than me.
No, he's not tall as you.
He is. I have a picture
Bobby
with
Lashley
him.
is not as tall
Tony,
as you,
you're
brother.
incorrect.
Bobby, I bet you $100 Bobby Lashley is not as tall as you, Dad. No, he's not. I work with.
I
Bobby
want you to
Lashley
remember
better
this, because I tell you this:
Bobby
if
Lashley-
he ever leaves WWE, I want to use him again. He's
look
about
him up
my
at his
size.
waist height. Bobby Lashley is under 6 feet. He's about, I would say 5'10".
You want me to look it up? I'll look it up. You keep talking.
He's an MVP.
I'm going to look. No way.
Yes, look at him in
All
the
right,
picture.
I'm going to look.
Bobby is not taller than MVP. They're the same height. Shelton Benjamin is probably the tallest guy in the whole group.
Shelton's about my size too.
No, he's not over. He's not.
I'm bigger than Shelton?
You are taller than Shelton. You're about 6'4". Vince,
I'm 6'3".
Vince wished like hell Bobby Lashley was 6'4". Can you imagine what that fucker would look like at 6'4"?
Says it right here, 6'3".
He's not 6'3". That's a myth. Bobby Lashley is not.
Hey, you know what? You can't believe everything you read online.
No,
right?
you can't, because I stood next to him. I'm 6'2".
But
and
at
I'm
least
taller
I'll say
than him.
this: Bobby is over 6 feet tall,
The next
and he
time,
looks like a
show
badass
picture-
human being.
Well, he's a great athlete. I'm not taking away from it. Get a picture of MVP standing with Bobby Lashley.
I'll try and insert it over the show.
Right.
And now that you're
Right,
online,
he's
now
under
that you're
6 feet.
online up in Maine, you can actually watch the shows.
I can say
That's fantastic.
I met Bobby Lashley 101 times. He's not as tall as me, and I'm 6'2". MVP is shorter than me.
I know MVP isn't as
Right.
big as Bobby.
Shelton Benjamin is about 6 feet.
I tell you
Bobby
this:
is not no 6'2".
there are very. It
And
takes.
he wear platform shoes.
Who does?
Bobby, look at his boots next time you see him.
When he worked for us, he didn't have those on.
No, but he's not as tall as you, Dad.
All right, well,
You taller than me.
I'll
Bobby's
say
not
this.
over my head.
I'll
I'm
say
telling
this.
you.
I have seen a lot in wrestling since I started watching as a fan back in 1986. I've seen a lot since I started working with Tony Rumble in 1993. And when Ed Cohen gave me a chance with WWF in the year 2000, I tell you this, a match between Lashley and Lesnar is one that I would consider paying to
Oh,
see.
yeah, that'd be a
I
great
think
match.
that would be.
No, I think
I
Bobby-
don't know how they haven't got to that point yet.
I think Bobby is a great athlete. I think Bobby
He looks like he could kick the hell out of you.
But he's not no 6'2".
All right, well, you know what? The
I
height
bet
thing is
anybody
fine.
$100 on that.
The height thing is fine.
And I don't have 100 to bet. That's why we do that.
Yeah, I know you got 100 to bet. I saw your envelope.
I met him.
But as far as him looking like a real deal athlete,
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't want to mess with Bobby.
No. He's a for real tough guy, too. You know, he's amateur background and everything.
And I tell you this,
Shelton is probably the toughest of the whole group.
Shelton is
Benjamin.
and another great guy. I
Yeah,
love Bobby and
I'm
Shelton.
taking nothing away from their toughness, but that what likes to say that's why we do what we do, because Bobby knows.
Well, as we just said, Bobby agreed with Undertaker.
Yes, yeah, he's right, and I'm not taking nothing from Bobby. But I'm just saying he's not 6'2".
All right, that's fine. We don't need to debate that.
That is a build up. The same thing with Andre. He was not.
He wasn't even 7 feet.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Well, he might have shrunk a little bit.
No, we're towards the end. He never stood up straight again.
He couldn't.
He couldn't stand up
Poor
straight.
guy.
Yeah.
The end-
He was always bent over.
Those
you know?
pictures of him at the end were so sad.
Yeah.
How bad he was moving. And I don't know if you've ever seen the matches that he did in Japan and in
And
Mexico.
guess who was scared of him?
Who?
Hogan.
Oh, was he?
There's a tape where they're sitting at a table and they're supposed to sign a paper. And Andre is staring Hogan down, leaning up against the rope like this, kept bouncing the rope.
Wasn't Andre in his wedding?
Yep, but he was scared. Hogan was
Was he?
scared. Everybody
Well, who
knew
wouldn't?
that.
You know what? At the end of the
Well,
day,
no, see, here's
look at the
reason why
guy.
Andre didn't like him. That's why
Andre
he was
didn't
scared.
like Hogan? He was in his wedding.
I don't care.
Why was he part of his wedding if he didn't like him?
Brother, you
That's
asking me
strange.
questions, but we all knew that.
All right.
And he didn't like John Studd either.
I knew that.
Yeah, but he didn't like Hogan. He beat
Why
up
didn't he
Hogan.
like Hogan? Do you have any idea?
Not really, but
No.
I don't know what happened between them. But I do know I was in Japan, and Andre had to wrestle Hogan, and Andre beat him so bad that Hogan ran out the arena with his wrestling trunks on, and was afraid to come back and get his clothes.
So Andre was angry.
Right, and then if you watch the tape, when Andre was staring Hogan down, when they were signing for the match, Ted DiBiase is in the tape. with the tape with him.
Oh, that took place, I think, at the first Royal Rumble in 1988.
Yeah,
You're talking about the contract signing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first Royal Rumble.
Hogan was afraid to look Andre in the face.
Really?
Look at the tape. You can see it on tape. He was sweating. He was nervous. 'Cause Andre was a type of guy, which a lot of people don't know. He didn't give a shit. If Andre wanted to walk across there and slap shit, he'd just do it.
I heard stories before of Andre.
He would just do it.
If he didn't feel like being in a battle royal, he'd just eliminate himself and things like that.
He did what he wanted.
Yeah.
Nobody
he was the boss.
That's why we call him the boss. He did what he did. I was wrestling with him as a tag team against John Studd and Ken Patera.
You know what's funny? You probably have no idea we do this, but once you start using your computer more that you have, I'm going to send you the links. Every day at 10 o'clock to try and promote the Patreon streaming service we have at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. We look at an old event and we do the results from it. Mostly 80s and 90s themed events, but the main event of one of the shows we did the results for within the past week or so, it was you and Andre battling Studd and Patera, I think to a double DQ.
In the Meadowlands.
That could be right, yeah.
You know why it was a DQ?
Why is that?
I'm selling for Patera. Patera got me in a hit lock. The ring is moving back and forth. I said, what the hell is that, an earthquake? Patera said, no, that's Andre. He ready to go home. He came across the rope, went over and grabbed John Studd and started beating the hell out of him just for no freaking reason. And Patera was still holding me in the chin lock. He could care less about what me and Patera do. Then he grabbed me, all right, make comeback. The match went about maybe 5 minutes, but he just could not get John Studd. But what started that between Andre and John Studd, where Vince started that, he started calling John Studd the Jank.
And Andre hated that.
Oh!
There was only one giant.
Yes! He no Jank, I'm the Jank. And boy, and you watch any...
And that really wasn't John Studd's fault.
No, but Andre, for some reason, didn't like Hogan. And they asked him why he put him over. He said, I needed the money.
Well, he got big money.
I love Hogan.
I know you do.
Love him. But there's something about Hogan that Andre didn't think much of.
Well, I tell you, Tony, that's a very interesting story. But back...
Even though he may have went to the wedding and everything, but for a while, they was not the... I mean, I think Andre hated anybody that was big.
Yeah. You got along with them pretty good.
You know how come?
Why?
Because I used to always tell them I had bigger arms. You know how the midgets hate to be told how small they are? Well, giants hate to hear how big they are. Andre always...
So you had something bigger than him.
Well, no, it wasn't, but he just liked the idea that I was sitting out.
Oh, his arms were still bigger than yours?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And he just liked the idea of me doing that because most people always talk about how big he is. And I'm always talking about how big I was. And so he used to get a kick out of that. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I know this is getting off the Bobby Lashley story. But,
we always do.
But anyway, the fans will love this story. We was in Japan. And in Japan, in order to go and buy something, you have to, if you're not a Japanese citizen, you have to have your passport. Do you know that?
You do?
Yeah, to buy something. Like if you want to go shopping,
Yeah.
you have to have your passport if you're not a Japanese citizen. So I had to take my passport with me. Normally I left it locked up. Normally the promoter would take our passport and lock it up in a safe.
hold it up. So
we had to go get our passport from the promoter so that we could shop, and then after that day was over, we had to give the passport back. That way you can't run out on them. But anyway, make a long story short,
you never do that.
I went to get my passport and everything.
Yeah.
And I was getting on the bus. Andre used to sit back in the back of the bus, and they used to give him a big cooler that'd be full of beer. And he'd be sitting there holding it with 2 fingers, a beer can. I don't know, it just happened. You can't see whatever he drink, or you got these big...
No, was it cold?
Yeah, he had the ice chest.
Cold beer.
And they kept it full of beer and wine.
He loved his wine.
Both was in there. So Andre sat there with his 2 fingers like this.
Almost like a shot.
Yeah, 2 sips. Yeah, pretty much. He would take 2 sips, and a 12-ounce can of beer is empty. He'd throw it in the wastebasket. So when I got on the bus, Andre said, he called everybody boss man, come here. I said, yeah, Andre. You sit here with Andre. You sit here with Andre. I said, okay. Want beer? I said, no, I'm good, brother. Have a beer. Okay, Andre. Have a beer. So, as I'm drinking a beer with Andre, all the wrestlers get on. Andre is staring at the door, just looking at the door, just like this, sipping that beer. Then all of a sudden, Dick Murdoch get on the bus. Andre go, hey, Murdoch, I hear you lost your passport. Now we got 2 dumb niggers on the bus. Sit down, dumb nigger.
Why did he say that?
Because Murdoch was saying that about me, and Andre liked me.
Oh.
And for Andre to call Murdoch a nigger, what can Murdoch do about it?
What's he going to do to Andre?
He said, now we got 2 dumb niggers on the bus.
He kind of put you down, though, in the same, you didn't care.
No, he was repeating that was his way of telling me what was said.
Oh.
He said 2 dumb niggers. And he waited for Murdoch. He didn't say that nobody but Murdoch.
KKK.
The KKK guy.
D-I-C-K-K-K.
Because Murdoch, when I lost my passport, Murdoch was going around the dressing room telling people, what a dumb nigger, what a dumb nigger. He was calling me that. So then Andre decided to call him one.
Do you think Andre was involved in the missing passport?
No. I know what happened.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, when I laid my coat, the passport fell out.
No, but I mean Murdoch's.
No, we used to wear suits. Mm-hmm. You know, when we go places in older days, when you go to the arenas, you used to have to wear a suit. Madison Square Garden had to have a suit. All Coliseum shows you have to wear a suit. Mm-hmm. That was the old day. We wore regular clothes to the spot show, but we went to the Spectrum, Boston Garden, Madison Square Garden, Capitol Center. Japan was mostly Coliseum show, so the promoter wants you to come in. That was one of the big beefs they had with Brody in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you knew that. We were all coming with suits.
He didn't want to wear a suit?
No, he came in with freaking shorts and a tank top.
Oh.
That's what Brody wore all the time. Shorts, all the time. No matter where you booked him, Brody never dressed. Another guys like that too was CM Punk.
I knew that, yeah.
Yeah. But Brody, if you see pictures of Brody, all wore them football shorts that were cut off, tennis shoes with the high socks, and a tank top, and his hair pulled back in the bowl. He always looked like a hippie.
And he didn't care. Let me ask you this though, Tony.
Because I hear Carlos complain many times that guy don't respect us. He said everybody come with a suit except for this guy.
The promoters were insulted.
To them, he was disrespecting them because he would not wear a suit to none of these events. In fact, when you saw him coming in, he looked like he was going out and get ready to go play field hockey or something.
Yeah.
You know, but if you see any picture of him, you never saw him dressed up in nothing, never. Abdullah, you see him all dressed up.
Very well dressed man.
Very well dressed man was Abdullah. And we all wore suits. You see old pictures of me. I used to, when I go to Madison Square Garden, I never went to the garden without a suit. Tito never went there without a suit. You know, another guy that would never dress up too was Bret the Hitman Hart. I remember the first time I saw him at Madison Square Garden, he had a pair of jeans with the holes in the knees when they had that style, and he had this old T-shirt on, you know. And I looked at him, I said, and now Vince got that dress code now. You know,
I think they kind of are a little bit more relaxed than it was when you were last there.
Yeah, but CM Punk never went by. I mean, he looked like he was going to the gym to work out.
Well, they are professional. Well, they are.
Randy Savage
to me, professional athletes.
Randy Savage was another one that wouldn't dress.
Oh, really?
No. But the thing about Randy Savage, a lot of people didn't know, Randy Savage was the stinkiest guy I ever met in my life.
Why is that?
He would wear the same clothes over and over. And he was too cheap to pay. He would go to the wash in the hotel. Oh, that's too much. I wait till I get home. I wash it at home for free. One time, Ricky Steamboat, you ever talk to Steamboat, he would tell this story. Me and Ricky Steamboat, we was getting ready to go out to get something to eat. It was a nice little Chinese restaurant right down the street that stayed open late, you know, sake and everything. And we could walk to the hotel from there. So we asked Randy Savage, he was with Elizabeth at that time. Said, hey, Randy, you want to go get something to eat with us? Steamboat said, I'll wait for you if you want to go with her. Randy said, "Oh, that's okay. I got some leftover pizza from last night."
Ooh, yeah.
I used to walk into his room. They used to give him his private dress room because he was with Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And when you open the door, the funk would rush out of that room and nearly knock you out. Randy was the stinkiest wrestler that ever been to the WWE. That man stunk like you would not believe. He would not spend money on deodorant, would not spend money on soap. He would steal, that's how cheap it was. He would take the soap. The only time he got soap is when they leave the soap.
At the hotel?
Yes. He had a whole bag of freaking hotel soap and little bottles of shampoo. And he would buy one car. He would buy a Mercedes-Benz, and he would drive that car his whole career. And I remember one time he bought a new pair of sweatpants. And SD said, "Hey, Randy, you look good, new sweatpants." And then SD said, "Yeah, a month from now, he'd still be wearing them." Sure enough, 1 month later.
Really? Back to the topic at hand, though, Tony. Undertaker signed a very lucrative 15-year contract with WWE to make sure that pretty much he's never going to go anywhere else. Are you surprised that he'd make those types of comments about the company?
No, because it's true. He loved the business. And he watched the business die with a bunch of guys that should not. Okay. Serena Williams is bigger and stronger looking than 90% of pro wrestlers. She's a tennis player, for God's sake. She got more muscles than Seth Rollins got. Now, how can a tennis player be more muscular than a pro wrestler?
What do you think about what Goldberg said, that the people are too soft nowadays?
That's true.
They're too sensitive.
Yeah, and they're very sensitive because, see, we was raised different. It's a different generation, you know? These guys now, they was raised soft. Not to knock our great military, but I was in Kosovo about 2 or 3 years back when I first heard it. Kosovo?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the military base. And I was working out at 7 o'clock in the morning. Rocky Johnson was with me at that time. It was Rocky Johnson, the guy that used to do the worm there,
Scotty Too Hotty?
Yeah, Scotty Too Hotty. And it was the Oriental girl, Savannah.
Savannah?
She was a wrestler during that time. And Tiffany. Tiffany was there.
Oh, okay, Tiffany. Yeah.
And I think the other girl name was Savannah or something like that. She was an Oriental girl. But
not Gail Kim.
Probably was Gail Kim.
Okay.
Just an Oriental girl,
Yeah.
all I remember. We all was there in Kosovo together. And I was in the gym working out with me and Rocket.
Yeah.
And if Rocket was here to tell you the same thing, this old leather neck sergeant with no neck. And he was complaining. They wanted him to take sensitivity courses because the number one killer, he said, of American soldiers were suicide. He said they used to be asked, not told. And you go to a restaurant, you see a mother turn into a two-year-old, and ask these stupid questions. What you want
What
to
do you
eat?
want? Yep.
My God.
I know you don't like
so
that
now
one.
this person is grown up. Now what job you think this person going to get where the boss going to come up to this person and say, what you feel like doing today?
That's
In
not how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
In sports now, I went to an event and they wanted me to be like the, the guest judge and all this and that stuff. So I'm going to give out the trophies to this little track team up in Maine. First place, second place, and participation. Everybody got
one?
a freaking trophy. And I said, well, hell, you don't even have to try.
You just
go out there.
You're going to get something, yeah.
You want to get a trophy, whether you get nothing. They said, well, we don't want to hurt the feelings of the kids that didn't win. I said, well, how you feel about the kid that bust his ass there and tried real hard to succeed, and you got another kid that played on his cell phone all freaking day and didn't go to practice not one day, didn't even try his best, get the same reward the kid that bust his ass. I call that warfare sports. Another guy go bust his ass and worked his butt into the ground to pay his bills. Another guy sat home and eat Twinkies and drink Coca-Cola and watch TV and get the same check.
All right, well, Tony, we got to try and get back on track. We're running out of time.
Undertaker, you are right. I've been saying that for years. Dan, you hear me say that 1,000 times. 1,001 times I have said that. You could tell they wimps. They look wimpy.
So you agree with Undertaker,
100%.
Goldberg, and Lashley?
100%.
Are you surprised that someone like Mick Foley disagreed with Undertaker?
Because Mick Foley is part of the office. They're called brown nosing.
Well, Undertaker is under contract too, and look at what he said.
But,
Goldberg, all three of them. Goldberg, Undertaker, and Lashley are all under contract.
Stop for 1 minute now.
Okay.
Stop for 1 minute.
Okay. I'll give you a minute and a half.
Okay. To compare Undertaker with Mick Foley or any other WWE is like comparing Godzilla to a lizard as far as status. Mick Foley need the job. Undertaker don't need the job.
I don't think Mick Foley is under contract to them right now.
Mick Foley need the job.
He wants a job.
Whatever he's not poor. Let's put it that way, because he's cheap too. I mean, he's cheap too. He's tighter than an ass dresser. He won't spend no money either. But he's a wonderful guy. He's a great friend of mine.
I think Mick Foley's great.
But Undertaker is the face of WWE. I mean, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's bigger than Hogan was. He's the only guy that Stone Cold could not take Hogan's place. The Rock could not take Hogan's place. Undertaker replaced Hogan. Think about it. There's been nobody. They can't even draw. You do WrestleMania main event with Mick Foley, and then you do main event with Undertaker and see what the house looked like.
Do you think Roman Reigns went a little too far saying that The Undertaker wanted to sound like a gangster?
I think that's very disrespectful.
I do too, and I like Roman an awful lot. But I was really taken aback that he said that.
Yeah, because he just being disrespectful.
Well, maybe he's trying to toe the company line. I don't know.
Yeah, but he should talk about his dad to take a shotgun to go and collect the rent.
What?
Sika.
Explain.
Sika. They put Sika in charge of some apartments in Florida. Mm-hmm. So if somebody don't pay come to him and pay the rent, he get his shotgun and go get the rent.
To me, if Sika showed up at my door, he wouldn't even need the gun.
Sika, all the guys carried guns back then.
You'd think Roman would know. He's second generation.
He don't.
I was really surprised by that, and I like Roman.
Because what happened, a lot of the guys did not share the business with they left the business. The wives didn't want to bring the business home.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
And so when he was home, Sika. Because Sika did a lot of stuff that Roman don't know about that I know. Sika was one of the toughest freaking guys over in this business. You know, that's why they let him go, because they beat a guy so bad in Boston at the Boston Garden. They beat that guy so bad the guy almost died.
Who?
Sika did.
No, who was the opponent?
Some guy came in the dressing room and started talking about fake wrestling.
This was in the locker room.
Yeah,
at the Boston Garden.
At Boston Garden, and unfortunately, he said it to Sika. And
what did Sika do?
It nearly killed him.
Well, explain. What did you see?
He beat him up, threw him out the dressing room, beat him down the hall. The guy got up and ran. Chief Strongbow tried to stop Sika. Chief reached underneath Sika, Lala, and grabbed him by the balls and started twisting him. And this is a true story. Sika just kept walking.
He kept going. I wouldn't want, those Samoans are a different breed.
He just kept going. You couldn't stop him. The guy got in the car. Sika ripped the door open. Beat him up some more.
Who was the guy, though? I mean, what was
some guy? He was some big weightlifter, bodybuilding guy.
So he was someone's guest to get in the locker room?
No, he just came back on his own. He was the local tough guy.
Yeah.
Till he met Sika. Same thing happened to 3 football players in Pittsburgh.
With Sheiky Baby and when
No,
Bruno.
the Sheik didn't get to do nothing. The Sheik got mad at Bruno because Bruno wouldn't let the Sheik help. Bruno beat him by himself. I was there. And he got mad at Sheik. He wanted to fight Sheik later. He said, Sheik, don't be taking my phone. Sheik, come on, Mr. Sammartino, let the Sheik do a little bit. And then when Bruno got through with her, the Sheik went over and suplexed one. He just had to do it. When the fight was over with, the Sheik
and Sheik got the one that was already done?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, we got about 60 seconds before we got to go.
But he had to. He just had to. He wanted to do it so bad.
I tell you, even when I broke in 1990, in 93 when I worked with Tony, the majority of the guys in the locker room looked like men that were tough men. And nowadays, I don't think WWE really has that going for them. I think they have a lot of guys.
Look at these guys, man. Look at little buggy whoops arms. 5'7", 5'8", 160 pounds.
Are you proud of the
Charlotte Flair is bigger than half the guys.
Yeah. Are you proud of the Undertaker for standing up?
Yes, I've been saying it for years. You hear me say that. I challenge most of them.
All right, wrestling fans.
Remember I told you that's why he won't put me when they were doing that Legend Killer with Bob Orton.
Yeah.
I said he would never put him in the ring with me because he know I can handle myself.
All right, wrestling fans, you heard it from Tony Atlas. The Undertaker made some comments that got people talking.
Soft.
Tony Atlas agrees. He thinks they're soft.
Well, the ratings telling them that.
And the ratings
The
should.
ratings just say
You know
what
what's funny?
Undertaker say.
You know what's funny? We're taping this on February 5th, correct? Yes. It would be 33 years ago tonight. Hogan and Andre on NBC drew 33 million people. Raw struggles to try and get 2 million in 2021. So what does that tell you? All right, for the Hall of Famer Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. Don't forget, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, it's Wrestling Insider Special Edition. We'll be joined by Savio Vega. Thursday night at 10, oh my dear Lord, the party with Marty never ends. His no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at the 80s and 90s. Friday night, John Cena Senior's Thunderdome lights up after SmackDown at 10 o'clock. Then we wrap up the week with Wrestling Insider's Week in Review, where we look at every episode in full length, one-stop shopping if you don't have time to join us for the regular premieres. Don't forget, the Super Chat is open for business to my right. Don't forget to tip the bartender so we can keep the lights on, so we can feed the great crew that we have here. And let me tell you, this guy likes to eat. The eBay store is open 24/7. Add some great wrestling memorabilia to your collection. The link is in the description box below. And most important, you fine, wonderful human beings. Everybody that watches the show is a friend. But those that are on the Patreon, they're like family to us because you are directly helping legends like Tony Atlas, Savio, Tatanka, Marty Jannetty, and others earn an income at a time when they've lost so much due to coronavirus. It's very important to me. If you join the Patreon for less than a cup of coffee down at Starbucks, you get early ad-free access to all 4 of the Wrestling Insider talk shows each week. You get access to the Studio Shoot Interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online and millions on the Howard Stern Show. You get some exclusive content, but to me, most important, you help keep wrestling legends working. He made $206 is his quote-unquote pension from WWE last year with his royalty checks, is how WWE calls them. $206. You compare that to what the retirement of NFL players, Major League Baseball players, NHL hockey players, NBA basketball players, actors and actresses in Hollywood that are in the SAG union. $206 he made last year from WWE. This man, this Hall of Famer, made more money from Boston Wrestling than from WWE. What the fuck does that say? Am I going off on a tangent now, Tony?
No, I gotta.
Oh, you gotta. All right. Well, for the Hall of Fame, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. We'll see you next Tuesday with this guy. You and yours be well. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at Ben Light Gymnasium in Ithaca, New York, Thursday, February the 9th, 1984, for a fundraiser for the Ithaca College wrestling team. In the opening contest, Tito Santana beat Eddie Gilbert. The Iron Sheik with the win over future nemesis B. Brian Blair. Tiger Jackson and the Haiti Kid defeated Dana Carpenter and Poncho Boy. Mass Superstar victorious over Tony Gurria. Polish Power Ivan Putski battled Sergeant Slaughter to a double disqualification. And in the main event, Andre the Giant and WWF Tag Team Champions Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson defeated Intercontinental Champion Don Morocco, Mr. Fuji, and Tiger Chung Lee in a 2 out of 3 falls match. If you were in Ithaca Live, share your memories in the comments section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
Tony, the fans love when you and I get going, but that was a tremendous episode.
Well, yes, it has. You know, every episode just keep improving and improving.
That's all we can do, baby.
No backtracking.
Another show that the fans have come to really like, one, nothing against you, but one that I've really come to enjoy, is Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. We have Wrestling Insiders Special Edition, where each week it's almost like the cable news shows on CNN and Fox. We have rotating guests. It's someone different every week. This week, we're going to be joined, or we were joined by it. All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another Wrestling Insiders. I'm so thrilled to be back by a man that we've had such great conversations with thus far. WWE legend, I'd like to think a future Hall of Famer, Native American Tatanka. Back in action,
yeah,
baby.
thank you. It's awesome to be here on the Wrestling Insiders. It's also a blessing to be on a WWE Legends contract. You just mentioned that. You know, most people, fans are always asking me that. Tatanka, when you go into the Hall of Fame? Tatanka, when you get, well, you know, if you understand a little bit about WWE, that's what they do. The Legends contract is part of all of that. You know, then they give you the elite figure. They put you in the games. They give you the Legends Topps trading cards. It's just, as we always say, it's Vince's show. So just sit back, be cordial, let them do their thing. But in the meantime, everything's been absolutely awesome. So very happy and looking forward to the future. And again, what comes from being on the WWE Legends contract.
And it'll be great once we have Hall of Fame ceremonies for people to be able to go to again as the
there
world
you go.
opens
Yeah,
up,
of course. Right? Yeah. Actually, you mentioned that. WrestleMania was supposed to be in my neck of the woods last year. It was supposed to be in Tampa, Florida. Now, I understand that Vince is trying to bring it to Tampa. It's supposed to be in California. He's wanting to bring it to Tampa, but everything it's a smart move because we got Governor DeSantis. It's all about being open, but man, I just don't know if we have time for WrestleMania to actually have fans. You gotta have fans. You gotta have fans. You gotta have that feel. Like when Bam Bam Bigelow, with that great angle we had, get me in that headlock, reverse chin lock, and all of a sudden, here's the fans. Shoom, shoom, shoom. It creates everything, the energy, the connection. And if you know how to work, you know how to tell a story, you know what to do in that ring psychology, my God, what you can do in an audience with a building solid. So I just don't know if WrestleMania is going to happen this year the way that everyone would like to see it, with a full arena. I mean, we're only, a few months away?
Yeah. Especially by the time this is, you're probably talking April, 4 months or so.
4 months.
That's not a lot of time to get tickets on sale.
Of course. And most people don't know Vince McMahon. He plans everything. He plans it from WrestleMania back.
It's usually 15, as far as how WrestleMania is mapped out, just knowing through our friends in the office, it's a 15-month process ahead of time.
Exactly.
So under normal,
that's what I was trying to say, 12 months, but you're saying 15 months, and you're right.
Under normal circumstances, if life was quote-unquote normal right now, there'd be a large group of people in the office not worrying about WrestleMania this year.
Exactly.
They'd be working on WrestleMania 38 already.
Exactly. You got it correct. Exactly. It's always traditional, what I was trying to say. A minimum 12-month project. So, we want to see things get back so we can have those big WrestleMania crowds. I'm so thankful. WrestleMania 32, again, another part of the WWE Legends contract, making an appearance on the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. WrestleMania 32, I was there to be able to walk out and see 101,763 people.
I think it was 102,000.
No, it was 101,763.
All right.
Yeah, unless it's changed, it's 101,763 indoor attendance record that Vince broke with millions watching, but 101,763.
I will never forget. WWE, they, nice enough to have me as a guest and had me next to the hard camera. And I just remember looking, level upon level upon, I'm getting goosebumps thinking of it
Dallas
right now.
Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, this level upon level of just, I don't think I'll ever see, well, if they go back to Dallas, I might. But at that point in my life, I have never seen anything like that Dallas WrestleMania. I remember when Austin came out as an unannounced surprise in a little angle with New Day.
Yes.
It was so loud, the building went silent, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yes.
It was crazy.
Oh, yeah, crazy, yeah. It's tremendous. WrestleMania is an event that it's the biggest sports entertainment event of anything, but what you feel that week, the build-up, the electricity, what you feel, you can actually cut it with a knife. And what's happening in that building that night for WrestleMania is absolutely tremendous. I've been blessed enough to be involved with several different WrestleManias. Some people never get that opportunity, but man, it's turned up a huge notch at WrestleMania.
It's akin to me, when WrestleMania ends, it's almost like the end of Christmas Day.
Of
You're going to wait a whole year for it to happen again.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So hopefully we get back to normal, fans. That's what we're trying to say. A big filled arena. So again, I don't know what we're doing with Tampa. Have you heard anything yourself? I mean, I haven't heard anything.
Some of our friends in Connecticut, I've been told that California is going to be tough to do much of anything.
And of course.
That may have to get bumped. But if there is a place that may be very welcoming to the idea of having an event with spectators like that, Florida, I think, would be the state. I don't know how familiar you are with AEW, but
yes.
They're getting in their smaller amphitheater, 750, 1,000 people.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, would you want to see Raymond James Stadium with 15,000 people, though?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah.
It would be odd.
Yes, it would be very, very odd.
Now, they've done I think, again, we talk about their state-of-the-art production values. I think the whole Thunderdome they've created with all those television sets, it's better than anything else I've seen in sport and entertainment.
Now, that is down in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah, now they're at the home of the Rays.
Yeah, home of the Rays. And that's, so you guys know, that's very close to not where I live now, but very close to where I used to live. I used to have a house right on the water for many, many years. I bought back in the 90s until about several years ago, we moved from that area to go up to where we're at now, where we have land and it's spread out. But that area that's a good building for where they're working at right now. And they weren't doing anything. I think they're there for the next few months.
At least until the Rays start.
Yeah. They're there for the next few months.
Who knows what's going to happen with the baseball season?
Yeah.
That's a different story for a different time. Hopefully they get in more. I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but hopefully more than 60 games. That was kind of...
Well, don't forget Florida, Yankees, spring training place. So, even if you're not a big baseball fan, you got the Yankees spring training there. Plus, the Rays have done well. They've played very well over the last several years. We have great sporting events, hockey, Come on, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah,
I mean, just great. I mean, Buccaneers years ago had, again, team went to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, great sporting events. It's crazy to see not the fan base. Yeah, it's crazy.
What's that movie that was out when we were younger called The Year Without a Christmas or something like that?
Yes, correct. Yes.
The Year Without a WrestleMania. We
Yeah,
don't want to have
correct.
that.
Yeah,
it was
we don't
bad
want
enough
that.
with this year's one. It was just so odd having no fans in an empty, warehouse type setup. But
Of
you know
course.
what? It'll make us appreciate the fact that we can have it again once we do.
Exactly, and that's exactly how you say it. And you appreciate the things that you miss. You got it correctly.
All right, my friend, take us back to January 1991. The War Eagle Chris Chavis, his first opportunity to wrestle a non-televised dark match in the World Wrestling Federation. How did it come to be? What was your impression of this WWE production that you arrived at? I believe it was I'm losing my train of thought already. Where was your first TV taping?
You got me where that first TV taping would have been, but I definitely remember it because, I came from working in the Carolinas. Very good area for wrestling. North Carolina had a great area for wrestling. Actually, the guy who was working in North Carolina was George Scott, George and Sandy Scott. Okay, in the wrestling business, the Carolinas was just a hot area for wrestling. And we did TV, and we'd have 1,000 people, So I had been doing TV and had that big enough crowd and going to high school gyms where it'd be jam-packed, maybe 1,500 people. But man, when you came to World Wrestling Federation, it was a total different animal. Total different animal. Before actually getting hired, I had 2 tryouts, which is done on TV. Then I had my 3rd tryout, which I came as War Eagle Chris Chavis, and my 3rd tryout was with Skinner. If everyone remembers Steve Kerr,
yep.
Skinner. So that was my 3rd tryout. But my first match, if I remember, I don't know if you might have that down there, Dan, if I remember, it was against Cato, if I remember right.
You're incorrect.
Incorrect? I can't remember who it was.
You worked a lot with the gentleman in the first year, but as far, you talking about your tryouts, your first televised matches?
No, I think one of my first matches, it wasn't even a televised event. I think I actually worked with Cato. Who do you have on the list?
Dusty Wolf was the gentleman the first night.
Oh, Dusty Wolf. Yeah, I worked with Dusty Wolf several different times. Dusty Wolf, too, also, if I remember well, he actually came out of the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think
Dusty Wolf did?
Yeah, I think
didn't know
Dusty
that.
Wolf.
Okay.
I think he had been through there, Dusty Wolf, and had done some stuff there. He didn't actually train there. He trained somewhere else, but I think he said he had been there. Yeah, but great training school I came from too. Monster Factory too. A lot of great names that came out of there. Bam Bam Bigelow. Of course, Bam Bam.
Yeah,
just
that was one of the
tremendous.
most recognized schools.
But coming to WWF, man, coming from where I'm at, high school gyms, and now you come to this big, huge stage of WWF. Man, I'm not a fearful kind of guy, but man, not fear, it was just wanting to do my best. The butterflies, wanting to do my best, because here's your opportunity. Now it begins.
And you never know if you're going to get it again.
Of course, and you're correct. In that era, guys, it was totally different. It's not like how you see all the stars today. Literally 1 or 2 openings might open up, and those openings would be filled very quickly.
And a lot of guys wanted them.
Exactly, a lot of guys wanted them. So when you had the opportunity, you did not want to miss on the opportunity. So I was very nervous to do my best. Not nervous to be out in front of fans, because I'd been doing it for a whole year. I was very, very blessed that from the time I made the decision to leave Bally's Corporation, which I was making a 6-digit income, and I'll speak to everyone out there, just like Vince McMahon, I don't care what you do, if you're going to do something great, there's always a risk. You always got to take a risk. I actually quit a job making a 6-digit income to pursue something I had never done, professional wrestling. So it's kind of crazy. Everyone was telling me, you're crazy, you lost your mind. Even my parents, my close family was going, Chris, that's only a dream. I go, yeah, it is a dream. So again, we were on another segment here. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. All you need to do is, you've got to stand by yourself, is believe in yourself. You can do it all by yourself, okay? Having God with you, it's even more powerful because he's going out before you. But, so everything I'd done during that time, I'd been in front of the crowd, but to be in front of that World Wrestling Federation that first time, all the cameras, sold out Coliseum, it was very, very nervous. But I just went out, did what I had to do. Of course, if you look at film of everybody, if you look at the greats like Shawn Michaels, you look at the greats like Razor Ramon, Ric Flair, all the greats, when they first started, they weren't that perfected superstar that they were years later. So it really helped me by working a year. Before that, and I was blessed with is I only had to work 1 year from the time I made the decision to get into the business. 1 year later, I was signed by World Wrestling Federation. Wow. 1 year after making the decision. That's what I'm saying. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. I quit a job making a six-digit income. They were grooming me for $250,000 a year. I was making $100,000 a year. I quit that job. Everyone thought I was crazy. Funny story. Since Dan's Italian here, the company was owned by the Palombos. I can't tell you, after I made the decision to quit, all these Italians came into my office and they sat down in front of me. I felt like it was the Godfather movie. They were making me an offer that I couldn't refuse. They offered me $30,000 a year increase on the spot. You know, so it'd have been $130,000 not to go. But as I looked across the table, I told them, I said, listen, guys, you're not be in the position that you are today if you didn't take risks, if you didn't believe in yourself, if you didn't see something that was a big dream that you had and you went and pursued it. I said, I know you guys can appreciate that. And I says, I have to do this. So I quit that kind of job with the mafia, the Godfather trying to make me stay. I quit that, and 1 year later I signed. So that's a little bit about me. But again, man, stepping into WWF with the production value, it was a total different world. But really, what helped me there, again, we mentioned him earlier, was Chief Jay Strongbow. He was my strong guy that had me by my wing. And plus, also one great thing that I realized to end with that question, I knew that I was representing a whole nation of people. So I knew that if I could get an opportunity to be on the grand stage of World Wrestling Federation, WWE, then not only could I have a great career, but I could represent my people proudly, which we have, of course.
You were back a month later in Orlando and Fort Myers. Again, you had a victory again over a Dusty Wolf, as well as Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi. What was the communication like at that point? Did they have a strong interest in signing you? Did they say, keep working the indies? Because you were back later in 1991, as you noted, full-time. But what happened at that point, at the end of those few tryouts?
Actually, I signed with them. 1991, I was already on contract. I had already signed at the ending of the 90s, and I started in 91. But what they did is they started me as War Eagle Chris Chavis until we finally decided, and as things started working, they finally made the decision, we're going to go with this. They seen that I was comfortable in the ring. All the guys, as they report, they put you with good veterans.
Right.
Or guys, they know how to work.
Yep.
They can report back to the office. He knows what he's doing. He's being very comfortable out there. He's easy. Because what they shortly did after that is I went from War Eagle Chris Chavis that I started, my own character that I developed, okay? Then that's when I took on the name Tatanka. If you remember, and we're talking about vignettes, the great time of World Wrestling Federation, going back to the vignettes, we were right to my tribal homelands. Vince loved it, and I think he already knew that. They want to see you work in the ring and see that you're going to get it before they invest all that TV production time in you, which can cost millions of dollars when they're focused on you. So finally, they made the decision that War Eagle Chris Chavis would take this transformation and take on the name Tatanka and be the leader of a new generation for the Native Americans. So that's what happened. We went to my native lands and we had this transformation where I was with all the native people. I was standing by the Lumbee River, where we got our name from. The Lumber River, Lumbee Indians, that's where we got our name from. And I was making this big thing about rising to the heights of the World Wrestling Federation. Also, I had our shaman, our holy man, dancing around me with eagle feathers, and that's where I took on the name Tatanka. And that's where it changed, and that's where they went boom, put the pedal to the gas, put the pedal to the floor, and that's where I went on a 2-year undefeated streak, and it was tremendous.
Do you remember where they taped those vignettes? Was it in North Carolina?
Oh yeah, we did it right on my tribal lands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did it in Pembroke. Yeah,
Oh,
we
it was
did
right in Pembroke.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow,
So
cool.
that's how you know. One of them, again, as we're here with Paul Bearer, when I first came in after I had already signed, okay, and they had worked me as War Eagle Chris Chavis right at the beginning of '91, and they already knew, okay, this is what we're going to do. They already made the decision. Boom. And we switch. Then I'm doing the Tatanka poster, and I remember at the beginning, Undertaker, Mark, who actually I travel with, joking, going, look at this young kid, this young stud coming in. He's already getting posters. I'm doing the photo shoot, and he's joking over here, but I'm doing the photo shoot. Look at this young kid getting posters and T-shirts already and action figures. They started right out of the get-go with me. I mean, I started right with a T-shirt, posters. The T-shirts or posters were always selling out. Of course, I was part of the Hasbro line, which started in '92, I think, or '93. I can't remember when the Hasbro line started.
The line itself started in '90. I think your first figure would have been out in '93.
'93, correct. '93. It was '92, '93.
Back then, it wasn't like today. It took them a couple of years just to make the model.
Exactly.
So they couldn't get them out right away.
So I transformed from War Eagle Chris Chavis to, again, Tatanka. And as soon as I took that name on, that was it. They put the pedal to the floor, and that was it. Undefeated.
Since, funny side note, since we know there's a lot of action figure collectors, it's a big thing nowadays.
Yes.
I come across different groups and so on social media, but did you know your original Hasbro figure wasn't going to be in the red and the blue? They actually had a docked up one that was going to be designed with you in the original white
pants. Of course they did.
They never
I've seen
produced
that.
it, but I never knew
produced
that
it.
until
Yeah, I've
recently.
seen that. Yeah. You can actually see the actual artwork done with the white tights with the Native American symbols on the side. Yeah.
That would have been cool to have two different Hasbro designs.
Of course they did.
The only difference with your two figures was the card it was on. One was on a blue and one was on a purple.
A purple.
But
You
the
got
same
it.
figure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same figure. You got it.
But
correct.
people wanted them, so they kept
Yes,
making them. Yeah.
everyone loved the Hasbros. They still love the Hasbros.
They're going
It's
for
tremendous. You talking about action figures. We just did virtuals, several different virtuals just recently. My Elite signed, people were buying it at $150.
Wow.
Everything we had at the virtual, they sold out of everything. Hasbros, Ruthless Aggression, Jack's Pacific.
That's right. You were around for the
Superstar
Jack's
line.
days, too.
Yep. I mean, everything we have. So get the action figure coming out. Tatanka's got a new figure coming out again. The WWF Legends Elite Collection Series 9 coming out. Target exclusively any day now.
I know they are coming soon. I think 8 is in the store right now, and
8's
I
in the
believe
store.
yours is it
9? It's
so
next.
soon.
Very soon.
Very
soon.
And like I said, hopefully we'll have you back before the 10th annual Paul Bearer toy drive, but I think it'd be great for us to pick some of those up, and then, when we do another virtual signing in the future, the fans can have them
Of course, yes.
ready to roll.
Of course.
That's a great collectible, but what a better way to have it signed than by the man himself.
Yeah, and they did an awesome job. I mean, it's not the Tatanka, but Matt, they do an absolutely great figure with Mattel. It's tremendous. So realistic. Tremendous.
The scans they do are just...
I mean, you got to love the Hasbro, you got to love the Ruthless Aggressions, you got to love the Jack Pacific, but the Mattel is so in detail.
You're right.
If you look at my Elite, my loincloth is exactly to a T the loincloth that I wore in the square circle. I mean, to a T. They didn't miss any designs. Everything is done traditionally how you were in the ring. That's so it's great. Defining moments, how they make sure that you had the gear that was part of that WrestleMania, or like me, my original debut, my actual ring gear that I debuted in. Just tremendous. They do a great job.
First-class action figures.
Of course it is.
Figures, I just
Absolutely
wanted to
awesome.
throw that out there because as someone that had virtually every Hasbro action figure when I was a kid, I didn't know that there was at least a prototype being made for the white-tighted.
Yeah, white-tighted. Yeah,
that
I've seen that.
Cool to have
it would have been cool, but the WWE fan base has been talking to me for so long. I hope they do one with your white tights. I hope they do one with your white tights. And now this one's came out, so I'm so happy for them. Because WWE or Mattel or whoever has been hearing, and now they're coming out with the white tights. And it's so great because there's so many options with me. The Tatanka, the undefeated with the red mohawk, of course with the white tights, and of course when we went to Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man,
Heel
and we
Tatanka.
joined the $1 Million Corporation.
All black,
So
all
yeah,
brown,
so there's
yeah.
a lot different. That's another thing that I understand with the Legends contract. One of the things they mentioned that there's so many different varieties with me, so you can get more bang for your buck, as they would
Opposed to
say.
just a one-trick pony.
You got it, of course.
Take us back to the big night, October the 21st, 1991. WWF at the time, things were going crazy with what was going on in the news, but at the arena, it was the night Ricky Steamboat decided to give notice. As punishment, they wanted him to job to Undertaker and IRS on TV in the same night. The Dragon left. It was the same night, and one of the most infamous angles, I think, in WWF history, when Jake's Cobra bit into the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
But it was also the same night Native American Tatanka had his official in-ring WWF debut with a pinfall victory over the veteran we mentioned earlier, Skinner, Steve Keirn.
Of course.
Big night.
Oh, big night. Very, very big night. But, again, what makes all these nights so big is just not only having a great victory like that over a known name, a great talent in the industry, but to be there with Macho Man. To be there with some of the greatest stars in the business. Just tremendous. To be there, just to be part of World Wrestling Federation during that time. People ask me all the time. They ask me all the time, what's so special? Everything was special about WWF. I'll never forget, we mentioned his name earlier, the person who took me out after they signed me, after my third tryout, and my third tryout was actually against Skinner. The person who took me out in the building that night before the show started was Pat Patterson himself.
Really?
Pat Patterson took me out from behind the curtains and brought me in the building. No one knew who I was at that time, okay? And I already came out of all my, they didn't know who I was at that time. I had only had a tryout. And he had me in the building, like where the curtain, like where you walk out, but actually in the building. He says, I want you to hear this. I want you to know this is what you're looking for. And the guy who was getting ready to come out was, again, the immortal Hulk Hogan. When that music hit, whoa! You talking about a pop? You don't see that anymore. You don't, and it's not nothing against the talent today. It's just a different era. It's different fan base. It's a different response. It's a lot of different factors.
Different presentation.
Yeah, different presentation. A lot of different things. But man, the pop, boom! And when Hogan came through there, it was like electric. You could cut it with a knife. You could cut it with a knife. So again, that first night with me, man, having that pinfall victory and starting and being around just everything and all the great stars. And again, Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, the biggest names, Legion of Doom. Just to be part of all that was just tremendous. Just to feel, it was so special. It was so special to be part of that era. Everyone that you looked at, everyone was a superstar in their own right. No one came out looking like Rick the Model Martel.
No.
No one came out looking like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Everybody was different.
Everyone was unique. Everyone was different. That's the reason when you look at Tatanka's action figure, red mohawk, loincloth, beadwork, moccasin boots, but then you look at all the other guys, boots, tights, knee pads, and a lot of it black and dark colors. So again, it was just tremendous to be part of that. And probably the biggest thing for me is just to have that first official debut and to have the ball kicked off for me, to have that victory and all the hard work put in, all the sacrifice, giving up a career of $100,000 a year, $130,000. That night was special for me because I knew you've made it.
I wonder if the Palombos saw it.
Yeah, Palumbo's correct. Well, here's exactly what happened too. It's a good thing too. Where the club that I managed was a 70,000 square foot club. It had an Olympic-sized swimming pool, indoor running track, 17 racquetball courts, a restaurant and lounge, free weight room, circuit training. A nursery. It had everything in this club. Well, when I made the announcement, everybody thought I was crazy because you're making $1,000 a year. You're doing very well. I'd already
Especially in that time.
I'd already bought the house. I'd already bought the car, in Florida. I was already doing very well. I wasn't one of the guys looking to make money, but I seen the opportunity of WWF taking me to a different level and also giving me a worldwide stage to represent Native American, First Nation, and Indigenous people worldwide. But it was just tremendous, man. It was just tremendous to finally, after all that sacrifice, all that risk, and then have that first boom. Because you knew, because the way the creative, you knew what they were doing. And plus, at that time, they had already taken me and done the vignettes.
Yeah.
They had already invested, went to my tribal lands, had all the vignettes on TV, me standing there. They had already introduced me to the WWE, as we call Universe today. They already introduced me to the World Wrestling fans before I'd even stepped out. They had already got you over. Just tremendous how it was done during that time.
To the fans that unfortunately may not have been alive or have witnessed the experience that was the WWF back then, probably for a good 6 weeks before that match with Skinner ever aired on television, there were these great 30-second, 1-minute vignettes of you on Indian tribes to get you over as a superstar. So instead of trying to warm you up in a debut match to a cold crowd, as soon as you walked out of that curtain the first time as Tatanka, that's the guy we've been seeing the past 6 weeks.
Exactly. And Vince was very, very smart, too. Great. You guys get to hear all the stories that you don't get to hear. They flew me after the tryouts and everything, and the third tryout, and they said, we're hiring you. Actually, this is what's so special about that time. They flew me from Florida. No, excuse me. At that time, it was North Carolina. They flew me from North Carolina directly to Titan Tower. So here I am with Vince McMahon and who else? Pat Patterson in Titan Tower, okay? And they're talking to me and saying, this is what we're going to do. They say, well, okay, Tatanka, let's walk you over here. We went to the art department. We went to the art department. I see my whole character already drawn out. All in white tights, the beadwork, the earrings, the red mohawk, okay? Had everything already drew. And we walked around and seen all the great posters down the halls of Titan Towers. We went to the gym, sitting in Vince's office, and then one of the things Vince asked me, he says, listen, I really want to ask you something. You've seen your character with the red mohawk. He says, let me ask you something, was this something traditional that, again, Native Americans would truly have a red mohawk? I go, yes. I said, absolutely, the warrior nation, which is one of the most feared nations, which is the Mohawks. The Mohawks would take red beads, red berry beads, and they would use that to make their mohawk red.
Really?
Yeah, red. I said,
so
he said, it is something that would really be done. I go, yes. He says, how do you feel about that? Now, remember, I just came from Florida. I was working in Bally's, a Fortune 500 company, okay? Always in front of business people every single day. Had just flown to Titan Towers on an airplane, okay? Vince asked me, how do you feel about having a red mohawk, but more important than that, just not for the show, how do you feel about having a red mohawk all the time? That was a very important question, guys, because I could have said, Vince, I'm not so sure I like that idea. Would Tatanka even be existing today?
You might have had a long career at Bally's.
Of course. I could have had a longer career at Bally's, correct. But guys, I looked at Vince, I said, sure, of course, no problem. Instantly. You know what happened that day? You know what they had planned that day? They already had it planned that day if I was fine with it, which obviously to get signed and for all of this to happen, I had to be fine with her, or it probably wouldn't have worked out the great way that it has worked out. And for me to ultimately be honored, the greatest way that you can be honored, there's no greater way to being honored than being called a legend with the biggest wrestling company in the world. And they call you that, not you call you that, because they have you on contract as a legend. By saying yes. What happened that day, they already planned it. They already had an appointment for me at a studio down in Connecticut, at a hair studio. I went right downtown, got my hair cut low on the sides, got my middle of my hair bleached and in color with red poppy seed, red hair color. I came back to the office. Vince actually see me with a red mohawk, And I actually flew back home on an airplane with a red mohawk. I had the red mohawk all the time.
You had the contract signed at that point,
Yes, it was already signed.
Good,
yes.
good. So the process was, just so I understand it a little better, I want our friend Sarge Russo and whatnot at the Noel Salon in Malden to know this. You would have to bleach the part that was going to go red?
Bleach. Oh, yes.
Really? Okay.
You could that red, bright red color I have, you would have never got that on top of black hair. No.
Okay. See, I never thought about it from that point of view.
I actually had to bleach it, guys, and then I had to color it. So it was a double whammy. I had to bleach and then color. Thank God I'm truly Native American. Still got all my hair, strong bloodline as far as native blood. But, you know, it was about 2 years later, finally I went into the office, Vince, I went, Vince, I know it's been 2 years, just wanted to ask you a question. He said, sure, Tatanka. I said, I don't want to lose my hair because I'm coloring my hair, I'm bleaching it and coloring. You think maybe the red hair has served its purpose? He said, sure, Tatanka, you don't have to do it no more. Just like that, boom.
And honestly, I think that's great because initially it really made you stand out and help get
exactly.
you over. But once you were over, you didn't need it anymore.
Exactly. That's what my whole point, and you just brought me right back full circle while I was getting ready to say that. Vince was very smart because here's a guy, Vince could look at talent, knew you were athletic. He knew that you were, as we call it in the business, green, new, okay? Don't forget, I'd only been wrestling for a year beforehand,
right, yeah.
Only a year. Here I'm coming to the biggest company in the world with the greatest names in the wrestling world, the greatest superstars in the wrestling world. I'd only been working 1 year, but Vince already liked me, loved that I was truly Native American because he truly could tell a story with something with that. So what Vince did, how can I make everyone look? Oh, I know, red mohawk. Everyone knew me because that red mohawk. I can't tell you how many people, when they pick a picture on the table, you know what picture they pick? Red mohawk, red mohawk, red mohawk all the time. Red mohawk. What was the first elite figure they did with me? The red mohawk. So it's I'm so thankful that Vince thought of it. And I'm so thankful that I was fine with it. I'm so thankful that it was truly part of tradition with natives that they would do a red mohawk, okay? So it was because Vince didn't want to do anything that was wrong with that character. I'm just so glad we went with it because today I found out it's one of the most memorable things that people love about me. The red mohawk, people tell me now, do the red mohawk again. Do the red mohawk. You got all your hair. You still got that mullet. You still got that red hair.
Plenty of pictures.
Yeah, they go, do the red again. They want me to do the red again. So it could be something that we could surprise. It could be something we could do down the road on something special. So
hey, you never know.
Never know.
As they say, anything can happen in the world wrestling.
Of course, that's right. Anything can happen on WWF.
Now, with some of the smaller nuances that went along with it, a little bit of face paint, the white tights.
Yes.
Did you have input onto that, or was that kind of presented to you by the company?
The company already had the native designs. They had already done research to get true native designs. So what they had already portrayed, as soon as I seen it, as soon as I agreed with the red mohawk, they already started going to their seamstress. Were already making my outfits for me. My full outfit was already being made for me. Vince had already given the go. The girls who work with the company today are still the same girls that were there when I came in the 90s.
Right?
Julie and Terry. Julie and Terry.
Terry's the other one.
They're doing absolutely
Julie.
awesome. You know, hello, Julie and Terry. They've done so much of all the great superstars. You know, all the guys' outfits. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. You know, myself. You know, all the great names, and they're still doing everybody's outfit.
And when it comes to the WWF, WWE presentation, think of what that. I don't know, I hate to use the word costuming, but think of what that adds to the presentation of these larger-than-life superstars.
Oh, my gosh,
you
tremendous.
have the music, you have the look, all before anything happens with the bell ringing.
Of course. I mean, I came out, white tights, symbolic with native. I had boots with had feathers hanging off of it. I had a native necklace, turquoise necklace. I had earrings in. I had war paint. I had a red mohawk. And plus I had the tan thing that I wore on top, the tan big thing with the short. What an outfit! What a regalia!
How did you carry all that around? You didn't have a lot of bags, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was very, very smart in how I packed it. We always, traditionally, everybody would always have 3 bags. Your carry-on bag, which normally would be your gear. But my headdress would have to go in my check-in because, again, the way I had to package that. Yeah, but you could take a headdress and fold it, and it doesn't get broken, but I had to have it inside of a package that would not let it bend. Because, again, I was on the road 300 days a year. So again, just carrying it back and forth to the ring all the time, 300 days a year, it would get damaged. But I really had to protect. So I had my own way of protecting everything.
You were smart about it.
Very smart about it.
Well, you had to. That was the lifeblood of Tatanka.
Of course.
Yeah.
And in your contract, it says you're responsible for your gear. So if you don't bring your gear or something like that, you're in trouble.
They don't want you out there in a pair of jeans.
That's right. Yeah. Wrestling's changed a lot today. Now everybody's wearing jeans, right? It's like, come on, man.
A little much.
Yeah,
but
a little
that's
much.
a different story for a different time.
Of course.
Okay, Tatanka, he had the big debut October 21st on TV. You're full-time now out on the road on the house show loop. You're working a lot with, again, Skinner in Cato, Paul Diamond, another great
Correct,
veteran.
yes.
Memories of working those two guys? Anything they might have taught a younger Tatanka in the ring, working night in, night out?
Skinner was just a great veteran in the business. Everyone knows about Steve Kern. Great veteran, very good, very technical. The biggest thing that I'd have to say to Steve Kern, not only thank you for on the third tryout, I got signed because of that third tryout, but also Skinner was a great veteran, just like Rick the Model Martel. Not only did they have a lot of knowledge about the business, but they helped the newcomers that Vince was doing things with to get to understand the business very quickly and to help get you over. So Steve Kern, I spent a lot of time with him at the beginning, and he really was very good in helping me get over. Meaning knowing it's not how much you do in the ring, it's doing those things, those few things, and doing them superb.
I think
that's what those veterans teach.
That's a problem that we have right now in wrestling, at least what I face sometimes when we have the independent wrestling events.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and learn wrestling moves. There's a lot of people that can teach you wrestling moves.
Of course.
But not unless you are actually living the life, whether you were a main event or bottom of the card, unless your full-time career was professional wrestling, you can't teach someone the professional wrestling business. It's like taking a giant 500-piece jigsaw puzzle and dumping it on a table. Well, here's a nice piece, here's a nice piece, here's a nice piece. You have to have the right people to help you put all 500 pieces together to make the puzzle.
Of
and
course.
Look at Steve Kern, after he was Skinner, he went on to be a very successful trainer of guys.
Of course, definitely, agent. It's very important to have guys like that when you have newcomers in to help them. And it was very simple. You know, the good guy would come out just like a Rocky Balboa fight. You know, come out shining. Okay, knowing the right time to do the heat and knowing about that fiery babyface comeback. You know, now just the way they do things, it's so confusing. You know, and the moves, guys are all wanting to do all these big moves. You know, we were taught to build up to those big moves, not to start a match that you're coming off the top rope, not to start a beginning match that you're first on the card and you're down on the floor,
like
or you're using chair shots.
Wanting to have the orgasm when the bell rings. You know
of course,
I mean?
exactly. Where
do
you go? You want to build up to it. The great storytellers would build up to it, and that doesn't mean only building the psychology, but building the moves too. Building the moves that you finally would weaken an opponent's part of his body, that you were able to submit him or be able to put his mat on the back of that mat and pin him 1, 2, 3. That's what it's about.
Imagine that. Professional wrestling matches where the goal of the two people in the ring having the wrestling match, where the attempt to present to the fans is you actually want to win the match.
Of course.
Not do every move that you've ever seen or know how to do.
Exactly. Tremendous. And that's what you get taught with a Steve Kern. That's what you get taught with a Rick the Model Martel. It's about building, knowing when to do things. It's about psychology, knowing why you're doing something, just not doing it. And it ain't about there showing all your moves. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, what has he always said? I only have 3 offensive moves. But man, when that glass would break, what a pop! Okay?
And he knew when to use
What
it.
a pop. Again, Ultimate Warrior. Come on. Come out and shake the rope. And he acted like that character. Clothesline, press. Boom, boom.
all he needed.
Slam. That's all he needed. Hulk Hogan, firing up. 1, 2, 3, boot. The big leg drop. And the building would come apart. Not coming off the top rope, not doing, you know, a moonsault off the top rope like a Bam Bam they could do over 400 pounds. Again, keeping it simple but believable and building the match. So again, Steve Keirn was tremendous. Kato too. Kato had been around a lot. Don't forget, Mr. Fuji was there at the time with him too. So to have Mr. Fuji, you know, to be able to work against him, a great manager, he gave me a great opportunity to be able to work not only with Kato, which is part of the Oriental Express, which was getting a lot of recognition at that time, but also to be able to work with a manager and understand how to be able to work with more than one person out there. Third person. And, of course, the fourth person being the referee. You got it.
Great learning experience. I mean, you talk about guys that you'd look at that you'd want to be on the road with, as opposed to someone you might look at in more your own age bracket or experience bracket. You're not going to get as much out of it as working with a vet like those two guys.
Of course. So it's tremendous. And then out of that, that's where, again, as they seen that I was catching on very quickly, that's where they put me right into my first storyline with Rick the Model Martel. And Model did what he did with me is I was already getting it, but man, he polished me. He got timing, knowing where to be in the ring at the right time, portraying, you know, doing all the things that we did, you know, with storylines at TV, filming, the spray of the arrogance in my eyes when I came off to attack him because he was insulting me, you know, just great stuff. So those veterans, those guys, people don't realize how invaluable that talent is, because some guys coming in when they're green, you don't know exactly what to do. So it's important to have a Steve Keirn. It's important to have a Rick the Model Martel. It's important to have a Kato, guys like that to help you understand the business and actually get over.
I'm getting the music cue in the back. It's just about time to wrap up, but I do want to ask you this, since it did come up in the episode. If you were to, in 30 seconds or to a minute or so, to younger fans that may come across you from the action figures, the video games, and things like that, WWE Network, if they aspire to be a professional wrestling superstar, what advice would you give them as far as finding the right place to train, to learn how to do the profession right?
Of course. Well, first of all, what you want to do is you want to make sure that try at all costs. Of course, you've got the WWE facility in Orlando, okay? But again, you know, stipulations to actually get in there. Again,
they're not going to take you off the street.
No, they're not going to take you off the street. Exactly.
Few exceptions.
No, a few exceptions, correct. They're finding their own talent. They're training their own talent. So what I want to say to you is just don't go out there and get someone that says, oh man, I could teach you professional wrestling, because at the end of the 90s, when wrestling was such a big boom, you had so many guys get into the wrestling industry because everyone wanted to be a wrestler. You had guys who were taking $3,000 from people, teaching them about wrestling, but they weren't teaching them the most important thing: psychology, character, knowing how to tell a story. All they were teaching you were moves. A lot of guys, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people know moves. How many guys are doing the same moves? Hip tosses, body slams, arm drags, clotheslines. All of us do the same moves. But it's how you package that. It's how you present that, how you portray that to the fans. Please find someone who has success in the industry. Preferably find someone who's done it, not someone who hasn't done it, because they're going to teach you the proper things that if you have a dream of going to the WWE or making in this industry, you want to be taught by someone like that, because they're going to teach you just not about moves. They're not going to teach you about all. They're going to teach you psychology. They're going to teach you about gaining a character. They're also going to help you with interviews too. How to cut an interview, not ongoing, but to cut it with heart and passion, that it means something. The great interviews that we had during our time were tremendous, tremendous interviews. You don't see interviews like that now.
With the passion behind them. But I always look at it like this. If you're in a position to go play in the NFL, they're not going to have you coached by someone that played Pop Warner football.
Of course, you got it.
And that's
exactly.
what a lot of these wrestling schools
Exactly.
are like.
And Dan couldn't have said any better, guys. That's it right there. If you can go to the NFL, they want to know who you're coached by. They want to know, who was he coached by? Oh, great coach. I mean, he's already got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of wisdom in him already. All we got to do is just take what he already has and build upon that. They don't want to start and have to reprogram you. That, believe me, a lot of people are going to WWE, and they're going to they go through that program several times because they have to reprogram the guys. They have to break them of everything they've learned and reprogram how to really, truly do this business.
And it's tough if they've been doing the indies for a while. They have what they think wrestling is programmed in their mind. It's tough to break them and redo it.
Exactly.
Start from scratch.
Exactly. So guys, find a proper training school. I was blessed to go to the Monster Factory, Larry Sharp's school. Danny Cage runs that school now. But I was there with, again, Larry Sharp. Larry Sharp was the manager of Bam Bam Bigelow. And during that time, Bam Bam was doing the big tours over Japan. And everyone knows about Japan. Yeah. If you were going to Japan, it's because you were being very successful. They didn't invite you to Japan, or especially during that day, unless you were something. Bam Bam, the people would split in Japan. I mean, he would walk through and it was like the
Human
Red
Sea, going the other way.
Oh, yeah, they were scared to death of Bam Bam Bigelow. And again, Larry Sharp was his manager. So Larry Sharp really understood the business. That's where I trained at, and we had guys like Dennis Knight and certain guys who were there who have been in the business for a long time, good work hands that could really teach you, again, the foundation that you needed to know. So find the proper place. Just don't go somewhere because it's a professional wrestling school.
And a great point can be made just about Larry Sharp. Was he a main eventer in WWF? No. But did he have a full-time career in professional wrestling as his source of income?
Of course.
Yes, he had a vault of knowledge to share. The weekend warriors that go and do independent wrestling a couple of times a month, that find a warehouse and set up a ring or two, again, they can teach you some moves, but they're not going to help you find the exact path and the proper way to go about that path. Get trained by a professional wrestler that had a full-time career, a full-time living in a major league promotion, because those are the ones that are going to teach you how to get to and the best approach to get to the king of sports, whether it be WWF, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, Japan, Mexico, Europe. Right now, there's a heck of a lot of options. Well, at least when we get out of these coronavirus times. But I want to thank Tatanka for being with us again. This was a great episode. I wanted to get that last part in. Again, if you're joining us during the live premiere, share your thoughts to my right. We always love to know what you fans think about the different topics, the different superstars. The Super Chat button is open for business if you want to help us keep the lights on. If you're not watching during the premiere and you still have some thoughts to add, in the description box below, leave us a message. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. And again, keeping the lights on, keeping those legends working that have been missing so many live wrestling matches, autograph signings, and so on due to coronavirus. The Patreon channel helps big time. For less than a cup of coffee down the street at Starbucks, you get early ad-free access to every episode of the talk show, our extensive studio shoot interview DVD collection, and so much more over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For our friend, the Native American Tatanka, the future Hall of Famer, I am a man that is going to be in no Hall of Fame, but that's all right. I still try and be a good guy. I'm Dan Marati. We'll see you next time. You and yours, be well, stay healthy.
See you guys. Thank you. We appreciate you.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Pittsburgh Civic Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Maria Davis, Friday, February the 10th, 1995. In the opening contest, Aldo Montoya beat Quang. WWF Women's Champion Bull Nakano retained the title over Alundra Blaze. Shawn Michaels with the win over British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. Razor Ramon defeated Intercontinental Champion Jeff Jarrett via disqualification. Bob Holly victorious over Jimmy Del Rey. WWF Tag Team Champions, the Smokin' Guns, retained over Well Done. Lex Luger beat Tatanka, and in the main event, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Owen Hart. If you were in Pittsburgh live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep wrestling legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's It's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
Coming up next tonight on Wrestling Insider's Week in Review, a man that I don't know if you'd want to break bread with him, or in your case, chicken wings.
Nope.
Marty Jannetty, Party with Marty.
Nah.
Still no.
No, we're not doing.
All right, well, wrestling fans, hopefully you want something to do with Marty. As usual, Marty is out of control in his no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at the 80s and 90s.
And his KKK suit.
Party with Marty is next. All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. It's Thursday night. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Dan Marati. I'm not Marty Jannetty. He's Marty Jannetty.
MJ in the house.
He's always in the house, baby. We love Thursday nights. We're very happy to have you here with us as we continue to look at 1989 and all the other twists and turns that Marty takes us on as we continue through that time in his life, in his career, in the ring, out of the ring. What are you looking for?
Where's my phone, bro?
You charged it over there,
Oh,
remember?
okay.
I won't forget.
I see it.
All right, you see it, brother. You see it.
It scares me. He always hides my phone.
And you know, the funny thing is I've never even touched the phone, other than when he hands it to me to talk to random strangers that I don't know. Like last night at the hotel when we were...
Who was that?
I not a clue. I don't remember. I think it said New York.
I might have been Kara.
Yes, I think it was, as a matter of
Kara?
fact, now that you mention it, yeah. Nice lady.
Yeah, she's sweet.
Okay. All right, well, let's get back to 1989, Marty. Late February 1989, WCW presents a heck of a pay-per-view. Chicago, Illinois, a classic between Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They had several classics.
That was in 89?
That was in 89.
Damn.
And to go head-to-head with that, WWF said, well, you know, let's fuck with them a little bit. And they ran a free face-to-face...
That's dirty pool, man.
Face-to-face special on the USA Network, where they took kind of matches that were coming at WrestleMania, and they just did kind of interviews with the guys coming up. I remember, I didn't order the pay-per-view. I watched the WWF special, and it was very underwhelming. Do you think it hurt the talent overall when you try and see that type of sabotage? As we mentioned, the first Royal Rumble in 1988 wasn't even on pay-per-view. It was a free special on the USA Network to fuck with NWA for doing the Bunkhouse Stampede on pay-per-view.
Man, that's part of the business. You learn as you see it. You know, to me, that's the genius of some of these guys like Vince, or even down there. Who was running it then? Bischoff.
At that point.
89.
George Scott was the booker.
George was.
Yep.
But that's the genius of it. We one up them, they're like, well, all right, we'll one up your one up. And you learn. The guys sit back and learn from that. At first it seems like shitty, but later in your career you find out that kind of shit goes on all the time. So you learn stuff. And me and Matt Daddy were talking about something today. Matt Daddy is in the control room, makes all this work.
Not Glantz.
Great guy.
Not Glantz.
Why do you bother him, man?
Glantz said he was looking for your outfits that you said when you were a kid. When you only had a couple. He said, that's two more than
diapers?
I have. No, remember you said, when you were young and life wasn't going so great for you, you only had a couple of outfits to pick from.
That was after that lawsuit. I lost $500,000.
Now, Glantz said he needed more than one, so he's ready to go down there and see what you have left.
Yeah, okay.
The table scraps.
I'll make something up.
All right, well, you're a good man.
Yeah, but we was talking about that. Me and Matt Daddy was talking about that. I mean...
About Glantz?
No. But learning, everything's a learning process. I mean, what you see here is only going to scale up as you climb the ladder. There's going to be more shit. And if you just step right up in the top rung, oh, that shit's going to be overwhelming. But if you learned a little bit, and then when you get to the top, you got all that underneath you that you've already learned, you can handle it. But so it was good for the boys to learn. I used to think it was amazing. Like, how are they going to outdo, one up this one? And then they would do it every time. They would, both sides were doing good. Like when I told you, like the last episode.
Well, WCW wasn't doing so good. They were losing so much money, they were forced to sell to Ted Turner.
Yeah, you know, Ted called. Vince even said this on the interview.
The husband of Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda, there she is.
You ever meet
again.
her?
I ain't gonna say nothing. You're always trying to get me in trouble.
I've just asked. I know you've met a lot of celebrities.
I met her through the TV. I saw her on TV
Christy
once.
Brinkley, Melania Trump, Vanna White. You've met a lot of celebrities over the years.
That's what happens when you're in the wrestling world or in TV land. You meet people.
Annie.
Yeah, AEA.
Annie.
Tell them what that stands for. I don't want to say it.
Well, I'll tell you this. They came up with an angle, Tony Khan, down in Jacksonville. He said Vicky Guerrero is there now, and they were going to bring in Annie to say that AEW stood for ass-eating wrestling. And her and Vicky Guerrero were going to start a program. She was going to have a little faction. And if they won the match, they get the treatment. If they lose,
on camera?
If they lose, they get nothing. But we'll see. If AEW wants to get edgy, they could turn into ass-eating wrestling.
You might want to call erotica videos for that one.
All right, let me ask you this one. March 8th, the World of Professional Wrestling lost Houston wrestling promoter Paul Bosch.
Yeah.
Did you ever work Houston? Did you know Paul Bosch?
No. But when I went to, what year, what was the date? Because I went
March
there.
8th of 89.
89, yeah, because I went there in 2000 and ran a Power Zone Wrestling. My friend Rick Darren, he was the owner of it, and we've been friends forever. And he called me up. I was so happy in Clearwater, Florida. I love that place.
I love Clearwater Beach,
it's the best,
Florida.
man.
Oh, you're bringing that up now?
Yeah, I was so.
I don't want to talk wrestling. I love that area.
So happy, man. Everybody that ever
yeah.
tells me about going down to Tampa, I tell them,
Clearwater Beach.
Go over the
Clearwater
bridge.
Beach. It's a little bit of a hike over the bridge sometimes.
Ain't that bad. It's fun because you see the bay.
Yeah,
Going over
yeah.
And, you know, I was so happy. I had everything set up just right each night of the week, you know, which club to go to. And there was a night, every night. Monday was, you know, Ale House, or Sunday was Ale House. Monday, you know, I'm not going to name all the places because I'm free publicity and they don't let me drink for free sometimes now.
There you go, right, yeah.
And plus the Diamond Dolls, it was, all my Tampa people know. Yeah, I'm going to hush now. They get busted a lot. They got busted a lot, but they're sticking through there. Well, because I guess some of the girls down there, there's some raunchy ass strip clubs around the country. 2001 down there in Tampa. You remember that one? I think it was on Hillsborough Avenue. Them and Diamond Dolls, the girls were known to take you in the back room for a lap dance, which was always a little bit more. But it was
privacy.
You see guys.
Privacy.
Oh yeah. Guys would be coming in, like more and more guys coming in and wearing gym shorts. And at night, they didn't work out. You could tell they didn't work out. If they did, they hurt themselves. But what the girls would do is like get on and do the lap dance and for extra money, because it was known. It was a known thing. They pulled the shorts over. You know, so a lot of them were getting busted for that. But
and what does this have to do with Paul Bosch passing away?
Because Rick called me and he said, "Hey man, I want you to move to Houston." And I was happy where I was at, but it was an opportunity to run his wrestling. He had bought a wrestling school. He goes, "It's yours. You run that, and you're in charge of Power Zone Wrestling." I ended up naming it Body Slam University. I'll bring in one of the flyers. It was a pretty cool setup. Next time we're doing an episode.
Yeah, last time no heat or anything, but you said you were going to bring some pictures that we could incorporate in. But you know what? I think it'll be great once you do to add some, you know.
I can always send them to you
an email or Facebook. Yeah.
I'll do that. You got to remind me, because there would be nice little things to interject, especially like this one with one of the flyers. And it was so cool. We would average, even during our we had an hour show, and almost 30 minutes of it was filled up with promoting the Body Slam University, you know, the school.
Yeah.
And but we did good with it. But here was the thing, man. You remember I explained what GAT is, that GAT luck I have?
Yeah.
Man, I was sitting there in Clearwater, and for y'all that missed that, GAT's, you know, the luck I have is GAT, which stands for God's Amusement Toy. Meaning when God's tired of all his natural disasters, earthquakes, you know, tornadoes, forest fires, and brush fires, and tsunamis, and quasar explosions. He gets tired with all that. He looks around. Where's Jannetty?
He finds Marty.
Damn it. But so anyway, I got gadded so bad on this one. I was so happy where I was at, Clearwater. I had my friends, Mike Moran, and lived right up the street. Me and him have been buddies since we broke in together in Kansas City, 1984. And, you know, we're still buddies to this day. But, you know, I got to be, we hung out, and, you know, he'd been living there for a while. When I first moved there, he showed me around. Ybor City's another place. Back then, I don't know what it's like now. I heard it's kind of rough. Gangs kind of took over.
Declined.
Yeah, you been there lately?
Not lately, but I know enough people that are around there.
It's
certainly not Clearwater Beach.
Yeah, Clearwater's doing. I don't even know if Shepherd's is still there. I worked there as security for a while. And boy, that was some fun. We had on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, you had the wet T-shirt contest, and
I want to go back now that you're mentioning it. I love Clearwater Beach.
You know what? People are so happy there, and it's got to be because of the weather. It's always, even when it's cold, it's warm. You know, and everybody's, you know, because of the beaches, you know, the nicest beaches on the planet are right there, and you know, people want to work out and look good, and when you look good, you feel good, and you feel good, you do good. You know, to quote Deion Sanders, and everybody's happy because when you're healthy, you're happy. You know, and people want to stay healthy there, so you walk around in shorts and tank tops or bikini tops or whatever. Glance would wear a bikini top, wouldn't he?
He'd wear one of those spaghetti string tank tops from Gold's Gym to show off his biceps.
You know, he wrestled though. He was.
That's what he told me. Yeah, he said he was an amateur up there with Angle and Patera Rastani. But
he was up at that level.
He was. He said he was a higher weight though. He was around 200 pounds at that point, which I couldn't picture that.
I can't either.
Maybe he really was a Goliath at one point. I don't know. But back to Paul Bosch. Did you ever?
Well, I was going to get there.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes I take a long exit street and can get back on the highway, but. Rick called me up and said, hey, you know, come run this. Now, I'm happy as hell where I'm at. I mean, life, you know, as a single guy, you know, the women there in Clearwater.
Paradise.
You know, and so, you know, I'm going to leave that fun lifestyle, but it meant more to me to go run a wrestling company and a wrestling school. So, packed up the U-Haul, drove my ass, from where I was at Clearwater to Houston. I think it took 14 hours maybe, somewhere. It was long. I mean, you know, Clearwater's right here at the bottom of Florida. You drive all across the Panhandle, over through Mississippi, Louisiana.
It's a long ride.
Yeah, it's a long way to get over to Texas from there. And I had a friend help me, one of my girls, Donna, not that kind of girlfriend, she was a good friend. Went with me. She actually flew in from Houston to help me drive there.
Oh, that's nice of her.
Yeah, I had an injury then. I'm always injured. And so she was going to help me drive. We went right through. We just switch off and take turns driving so that we didn't have to stop and somebody sleep. You know, you sleep. And after 19 hours of driving, took her to her house, dropped her off, and then drove the rest of the way to Rick's place. And you know, you're dead ass tired after, like, I'm going to just say it was 12 hours of driving, maybe 13 or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
If you went nonstop.
Yeah, we did. Just stopped to get gas and stuff, and that was it. But it was like 3 in the morning, and you've been driving 12, 14 hours, whatever it was, like this. But, you know, as soon as I pulled up to Rick's house, I got all excited, you know, because I'm here. Now I want to go see what we're doing. And, you know, I jump out the thing, and he comes out, we hug, you know, we're friends for like years and years. Hugging, you know, the high fives and all that, good to see. And I was so eager, like, go show me what we're working with. Let's go inside, let's go show me what you're working with. And we got in there, he goes, okay, come on in. He got a VHS tape, you know, the old VHS. Stuck it in there, and I'm watching, you know, because I'm wanting to see what my guys, you know, I'm going to be booking it, I'm going to be running it, I want to see what I'm working with. And I watched the first match he's showing me, and I'm like, skip forward to the next one. And I'm watching the next one. And I'm like, skip forward to the next one. And I'm watching that one, and my shoulders probably started like this, all excited, and I think they're slowly going like this.
It was no good.
That was like, get to our main guys. He goes, that is them. I was like, oh my God. Oh boy. All right, well, we'll make them better. Let me see the school, the students. And he got quiet. He goes, well, we only got a few, And I'm sitting there thinking, did I really just move here? Did I just leave where I was happy? And I said, a few being how many? He goes, I don't know, 3 or 4, but people heard you're coming, so there's a lot of people who want to sign up. And that did happen. About 15 or 20 signed up within a week. But then I was like, well, who are our sponsors? You know, how many sponsors have we got? He goes, well, that's another problem. I'm like, what? What do you mean that's a problem? He goes, we kind of need you to go get them. They'll do it for you, they're just not doing it for me. So really nothing is damn set. He was paying, I think it was for that hour, and it was late. It was like 12 o'clock at night. It was like $800 for that hour of TV with no sponsors. It just Body Slam University, Body Slam University, Body Slam University, and back to the show. Oh man, you talk about, my heart just broke right then. I left where I was happy. I was set.
For a lot of work.
Man, I was, in training wise, I was going to the boxing gym in the morning from 10 to 12, I think, whatever it was. It was early morning, 9 to 11, whatever.
To train yourself?
Yeah, boxing, yeah.
Oh, you box?
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, but then in the afternoon, or around 5 o'clock, but between boxing, around noonish, or you hit the beach, get some sun. 2 or 3 o'clock, me and Mike, my buddy Mike Moran, we'd head over to the gym, Gold's Gym, hit that workout. 5:30 or maybe 6 o'clock, the class for martial arts. Sensei always moved that, like tomorrow we're going to start at 5, tomorrow we're starting at 7, all right. But so that was a routine every 5 days a week. Weekends it kind of backed off. You got to recoup, But oh man, I loved it. And then when I had, and I was having very few shows. But I was still getting pretty big royalty checks from WWE at the time, F at the time.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
And, I was able to float. There was pretty much all I do is train. All I do is work out and go to the beach and watch these girls and work security. I worked security, but it just wasn't doing that many independent shows when I was down there. But to have that life, I mean, what more could you? You're living the life. You're doing all that training during the day that you love. I love boxing. I love the martial arts. I love my sensei, man. Rest in peace, man. I miss the hell out of him. And you're training the sun, the beach, the girls, they're single, the clubs. And I'm going to leave that because I wanted, my bigger passion is the business.
Wrestling, yep.
And so to get there, it just compounded the hurt was to drive all damn night. There was actually maybe a tear, maybe 2, that I was leaving where I was so happy.
Sure.
And then maybe
Makes
halfway
sense.
I started going towards, okay, but I'm going to be happier here. And then to get
Nothing
there.
wrong with Houston.
Yeah.
It's not
well, it wasn't
Clearwater
Houston.
Beach,
It wasn't Houston. There was nothing waiting on me. We had less than talented guys. It was okay because we got them good. We made them better, which that made me feel good. I was watching the guys, leapfrog up into better, than where they were. But they, we had no sponsors for the show, so how are you gonna pay me, Rick? Well, I'm gonna pay for your, where you're gonna live and transportation and, all your expenses while you're here. So really, I'm not going to make anything. I just don't got to spend
You're just
anything.
going to be able to live.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but that wasn't even, I didn't even care about that. Plus, Houston was new to me. I've been there many times. That's where I met Kim, Road Warrior Animal's wife.
Oh, okay.
That's where I met her, and Donna lived there. I got Bonnie, this girl Bonnie that I used to see all the time. Bonnie Allgood. Her last name was Allgood. You want me to tell you why? That's really her last name, Allgood. But so I had friends there.
Yeah.
And so in Houston, I had never lived there. I'd been there a million times for shows. That wasn't the hurt. The hurt was I just left complete contentment to come here to nothing. There's nothing waiting on me. There's a wrestling organization. You're handing me. It's sort of like. No, I ain't gonna go political. I was about to go, but you're handing me a piece of shit to make better.
And you really have no idea if you're even going to be paid outside of your life expenses.
Yeah, well, and right away I got so lucky. Right away, Bill Hurd Chevrolet was based out of Columbus, Georgia, and I'm friends with the Hurds, and they had one there in Sugar Land, I think it was. at Bill Hurd Chevrolet, and it was one of the boys that, when I said, he goes, we were going to get them. I said, they're here in Houston. I know them personally. They're from Columbus, Georgia. And so he's like, yeah, you know them. I said, yeah, let's go talk to them right away. So first day there, boom, we got a big one. I mean, that was a big one. That paid all the expenses for I think it was $8,800 for that hour show. Or it might have been, I don't remember how that worked, but it more than covered that and expenses of running.
We need a car sponsorship.
What's that?
We need a car sponsorship.
Who's up here?
Oh, I mean, there's a million car dealerships, but you're getting stroking my mind as far
as. I know a few people from over the years. I might can find you something.
All right. Well, anything. You know what I mean? Like I said, anything helps. Anything we can do to try and enhance the show, keep the legends working.
When I watch the show, who do you have for sponsors? I know you do the sort of like what they did there.
Yeah.
But yours is the products and Paramount. No, what's it called?
Patreon.
Patreon.
We got the Patreon. We got the eBay store. We got the T-shirt fundraiser on BostonWrestling.com. We have some of our great friends here in the city in Melrose that like to try and feed the crew from time to time, but that's a different story for a different time. But back to Paul Bosch.
Wait. All my Boston people, and I got a bunch here. We're going to need some sponsorship. Get in touch with me on Facebook. If you don't have my phone number or you don't my email, hit me up on Facebook. Or Twitter, or what's the other one I'm on? Instagram.
I don't even.
And
know.
now a new one, Parlor. That's the one I'm probably going to stick with. They don't censor your shit.
Parlor.
You ain't heard about it?
I've never heard of it.
Oh,
what's in it? I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, it's spelled P-A-R-L-E-R.
L-E-R.
Yeah. They don't censor your shit like Facebook, and that Mark Suck-a-Meat-Burger is not in charge. It's better. I hope they don't see that now blocked my damn Facebook account. But that's the shit you won't have to put up with. But back to what I was saying, my people from the gyms, the car lots, anywhere. We need some sponsorship.
Come on in, baby.
Yeah,
we're more than ready and waiting.
Hit me up. In fact, here's my number, 702. Oh, no, I don't want to do that, do I?
681-92-KFAB.
OU812.
As we have to wrap up the show, I'm getting the signal in the back. Anything about Paul Bosch? We know Houston.
So anyway, I got there, and right away, the first thing I was hearing was Paul Bosch. You're going to make it as good as Paul Bosch. And I
really? And he had a great reputation as one of the best payoff men in the business.
Day, I'm sure. Yeah. The boys loved him, the fans loved him. So I would always, it's called a cheap pop. Every time I'd be in the ring to do an interview, and I'd say, and the great Paul Bosch, and they would just go crazy. They loved him there.
All right. Well, I have no idea what that means because 20.
Oh, we're over. Okay. Hey, y'all got to tune in.
You only came out once for this episode?
No, it came out twice.
Oh, all right. Well, no, we're not ready to wrap up yet then. All right, good.
So yeah, man, they love him in Houston.
I tell you this, his wife just passed away.
Really?
And Bruce Prichard bought everything that had to do with the Paul Bosch Houston Wrestling. I think he owns everything that has to do with that.
Bruce or WWE?
No, Bruce personally.
For himself?
Yeah,
he had
a very loyal attack, because I think he was only like maybe 10, 12 years old when he started selling programs for Bosch.
Oh, really?
So he had quite the attachment to
Texas?
them. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
him and Tom.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this,
Tom,
but
I love Tom, man.
He has a son that's blind.
Which
Paul
one?
Bosch now.
Oh, yeah.
And he would at the Cauliflower Rally Club every year. He's tremendous with the piano, even though he can't see. And he'd play during dinner and whatnot. He'd add the background music. He'd come with the mum to the Cauliflower Rally Club reunion. So I guess part of the reason why Bruce wanted to do it was a lot of the money went to the kid to try and help him out where he's blind. So kudos to Bruce. Bruce has been a longtime friend of the show. I don't know what you think of Brucey Bruce, but you know what? He's always been great to us.
And he was always good to me. I love Bruce.
Well, good. All right, as we continue.
Did you use a shortcut it like that? Yeah, well, good.
Well,
good.
It would probably make for a more interesting story if he stiffed you or screwed you or lied to you in some way, shape, or form.
No, you actually helped me.
But I like Bruce, so I'm glad that he was good to you.
Yeah,
Bruce is another one of those guys that some people, they either really like him or they don't like him.
I don't know what you would not like about him.
In that position that he's been in over the years in talent relations, that's a tough spot for anybody.
Yes, it is. I told you about the Terry Taylor one.
Yeah. You mentioned a genius not too long ago in this
Which one?
interview. You did. I don't know. You said someone was a genius, but speaking
There's a bunch
of
of them out
geniuses,
there compared to me. You're a genius.
no, I don't know about that. Early in 1989, we already spoke about on a previous episode, WWF took enhancement talent Steve Lombardi, a man that was known to fillet, and he got
Known to what?
fillet.
Like a fish? Fillet of fish?
No, fillet. Service. Servicing.
Who? Lombardi?
Yeah, he was known to fillet.
Boy, you better not let him hear you say that.
But you know, it's not a secret.
It is to me.
Well, oh, come on
Even
now.
if I knew, I wouldn't go tell the world.
You told the story about the elevator ride with Patterson
All
and
I
Terry
heard
Garvin.
was he said,
Yeah.
let's do what we did last night.
And I don't think they were playing cribbage, that's for sure. Arnie Skolin wasn't with them.
No,
But
Arnie was. Arnie was so fun. I miss him too.
I
man.
thought that was a creative way to do something with Steve Lombardi, to take him from just an enhancement guy and kind of give him a little bit of gimmick as Brooklyn Brawler. And then in the spring of '89, WWF went the same route. They took frisbee throwing, poem reading Lanny Poffo, another man that
Poem
was
reading.
known to fillet only himself instead of others.
Filet?
Fillet,
Okay.
little fellatio. And
Is that what I do when I cut them fish with that little knife that hooks around
it's
and
fillet a fish.
fillet?
Fillet a fish, not
Now I'm
fillet.
gonna feel like
Hopefully you're not
now I'm
filleting
gonna feel
the
like
fishes.
I'm blowing a fish. And if it's a blowfish, it's blowing me back.
But WWF took enhancement talent, Lanny Poffo. They turned him into the genius, giving him a little bit of a gimmick, a little bit more of a push. Do you think that was a good thing for Lanny? Did Lanny
Well,
seem
yeah, of course,
happy
he
with
was there
it,
for a
or
long time.
Any memories of Lanny morphing into the genius?
Well, Lanny's intelligent. He's part of a Mensa club anyway.
It's part of the what?
He's a Mensa club that you got to have a score of what, 150 or higher to get in
Oh,
the Mensa?
really?
Yeah. And we always said to Lanny, like, damn, what's it like to be, you're a genius. I mean, you're in the Mensa club. He goes, well, it's my brother that's a genius. He's way up the scale. So I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, Randy was too, man. Randy's the one that told me one time, brother, sometimes it's a curse to be this smart. and Johnny Polo, but he went on to be Raven. You know, him and I are like great friends. But he told me, he goes, man, when you're that smart and you're around dumb people all the time, he goes, it's just not fun walking through life. I can imagine, because I'm a dumb person myself, and I see all these people not as, how do I say that? Not as, I can't call myself smart, and I don't want to call them dumber.
I think you're a wise man.
I tell wise tales.
I think you have a lot of knowledge, and I think you have a very good memory.
Well, I appreciate that. Can I get a handshake on that
Well,
one?
it's
Oh yeah, we got
Corona time
a
still.
socially fist bump.
Socially
Well, ain't
distanced
supposed-
fist
you know,
bump.
Shannon Sharp. That's my favorite show. You know, Lil Wayne opens it up. But what is it called, Matt Daddy? Undisputed. No mercy, no mercy. They do the fist bump. Him and
Yeah.
Skip Bayless. They don't touch. They just, let's do it. Let's practice it once, like that.
All right.
Yep. We should do that now. We'd be still in there.
Still in the
How
gimmick.
can we creatively
We'll do
borrow
maybe the
it?
elbow?
No, because somebody did that. Biden and somebody did that.
Him and Kamala.
Yeah. Who?
Oh, Kamala, I'm sorry. Saturday night, March the 11th. It was a big one. It was, forget about Saturday Night Live, it was WWF Saturday Night's main event on NBC, 11:30 p.m.
Was it that late?
That's when it started, yeah.
Holy
Because they
shit,
took
you-
Saturday Night Live's time slot.
Oh, it was 11 o'clock then.
11:30 after the
Was
news.
it 11:30?
After the news, yeah.
No. Wow, imagine if they had a 10 o'clock or 9:30 time slot.
Well, remember we've mentioned before when they did the Friday night special, the main event in 1988 in February when they did Hogan and Andre, 33 million people tuned in.
Damn.
That was one of the biggest
Big.
nights in the
Yeah,
history of the
that's
industry.
record
Yeah.
breaking. What time did y'all tune in tonight?
We start at 10.
Yeah, okay. So that was the last week that I saw too. It was 10.
10. Yeah,
Then we
well,
used
we
to
do it every
9.
week at 10. We did, but because of to try and keep everything equal and even and
Fit
easier
in
for people to
places.
remember, we have to do 10 o'clock on Friday night for John Cena Senior
just
because
Friday
when
night.
SmackDown ends. So I figured why not have all of the talk shows start at the same time so it's
Right.
easier for people to remember. The 10 o'clock power hour, baby.
What do y'all think? Throw your thoughts in on that, because we're thinking, some of us are thinking 9 o'clock is a better time.
Yeah, you know what? If the fans want 9 o'clock, we can always change it.
Let's see what people say.
Yeah.
Let's see what y'all say. You know, because you can always write in. What's that called when you
Chatting.
You chat in during the show.
And they can always hit the super chat button, which keeps the lights on and helps us keep you booked, brother.
That goes to Paramount. No,
Patreon.
Patreon.
If they subscribe to the Patreon, which is the cost of about a cup of coffee at Starbucks, they get early, ad-free access
and
to the show.
That one yesterday was
Plus all
expensive.
those studio shoot interview DVDs, and you keep the legends working. So what was that? Oh, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about now. But March the 11th, Saturday night's main event, it was taped about a month before in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Well, you know what we used to, the very first one, you mean? Because what we did, one of us, what they call it Saturday Night main event live.
Well, the first one was in 1985.
Well, no, what I'm saying, we taped, it was actually a live show, the first. Then we taped like a week or two. Those would be taped, but still go as, Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I understand what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. They weren't taped on Saturday. They were part of usually a Superstars taping or a challenge. Yeah. They did a great job heating up the guys for WrestleMania 5, which was, at that point, maybe one of the biggest nights in the history of the company, at least as far as pay-per-view buys went. But on Saturday night's main event, you and the Brainbusters battled to a double countout on NBC.
I remember that. Did we fight back to the dressing room?
Absolutely. And then you throw in, I got to ask you this.
Okay.
Not only are you getting that big prime, a little after prime time, but you're in that time slot that folks are familiar with for Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Those NBC specials did big ratings on NBC. This was probably the biggest showcase you had in WWF as far as the number of eyes watching, where you had on top of the tag team division what you could maybe call a slower paced program with Demolition and the Powers of Pain. Did it motivate you guys to up the ante a little bit to maybe show what you guys could do for the tag team division on such a big platform like NBC?
I think what we always did. I think Sean will. Is it the right word to say attest to this? I can spell that one.
He attested to it.
He attested. I don't know why that word never come out of my mouth before. But anyway, he can confirm this. We pretty much always adapted to who we were working with. If we got Paul Diamond, and at one point he went as Kato under Damascus as the Orient Express, and Tanaka, who were two of the best workers as a team. As far as athletic ability, they were the best we ever worked with. So we could do so much, and that's why that Royal Rumble match '91.
Oh, I can't wait to get to that one.
Oh man, and I still get emails and stuff, talking about that match when
Talk
they see
about
it.
stealing the show.
Oh man, and Roddy Piper was so good because he was announcing. Remember, he was going crazy. My God, and this is just the first match. He was so good.
Now, Roddy, as we mentioned last night, Roddy was one that liked a little variety.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say.
Who knows what's under that kilt, as Bobby Heenan used to say, right?
Yeah. You know what he said he was on Arsenio Hall one time. And remember Arsenio had his talk show thing, and Roddy was on there. And it was for the Survivor Series. I got a bunch of Survivor he wore to kill. He stayed in character pretty much. A lot of the guys will go on there and become themselves, but they're dressed up in their character, and so they're being them and they're not being their character. It kind of throws you off, because they're dressed the part. If you come in regular clothes, it'd be one thing, but you come like Bad News. I think Bad News was actually going to wear his damn little black tight things out there, and they said, nah.
That would be a little much, I think.
Yeah. But he was going to stay in character all the way up to the tights, Macho Man stayed in character. I used to watch it because Sean and I was supposed to go on and something went wrong. Imagine that.
Yeah, this is a surprise, right?
And,
so it was a big deal to work those Saturday night main events.
Yeah.
Because not only
But I was going to say about Roddy.
I'm sorry.
No, okay. Roddy, we learned so much from him. You were talking about he liked other things or something.
He liked a little variety in life.
Yeah.
A little variety.
That one time that Sean and I had the accident and got into it, I was starting to see some of that variety come out. When he was rubbing his fingers through Sean's hair, and you're going to be so great. He's pulling Sean to it. From Sean's, in defense for Sean, he was pulling back. And,
from what I was told, Roddy was a very touchy individual. Is that?
I don't know. He never touched me a whole lot. I didn't see him. The only person I saw him touchy was Sean that night.
Oh,
yeah. But anyway, and Roddy told us a good piece for you guys, new guys out there. We got upset about even that show, the Royal Rumble. You know, we thought we were pretty good, and you know, the Rockers were pretty good. So while we were like it was like every pay-per-view. We're the in house shows. You know, there's no TVs there. You put on, you build up. Excuse me, my voice here. I gotta get some more.
Little Fabo pop.
This is good stuff, y'all. By the way.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yes, this is very good. The root beer is what I'm drinking. I left the root out, but the it was pretty good.
It was good, yeah. I think I got to reel you back into 1989, brother.
Wait, let me finish Piper, because this is something for the young guys to learn, to know.
Oh, that's important to me.
Okay.
Then. All right.
They, you know, in house shows, you put on you build up to the main event, or you should. You know, that's why some guys like Brad Rangers, who I love to death, and I'm not going to say no more names because that might be embarrassing to them, but we used to say their ring music was the national anthem.
Right, yeah.
You just played the national anthem, then you go out. Yeah, hair shooting out of my head. You know, I ain't had a haircut in 6 months, except for I did it the other day, and you see what I did.
Kind of got the Bruce Valanche look going.
Who's that?
The comedian.
Is that anything like
a little like Bruce?
Oh, so do I look funny? Is that what you're saying?
No, just that's what they hear. All you need are a pair of funny-looking glasses, and you could be
them somewhere.
Marty Valanche.
What they do with them?
I can't hear you, Prodigy, but I know you're chuckling along.
Yeah, I hear Matt Daddy in there.
All right, so what were you saying now?
Yeah, pay-per-view. So we're joking on, ribbing on them, as they call it. I don't know why I don't like that term either. You know, I got some weird quirks, right? I didn't like shoot, Marty shoots. So if y'all have been following, if you notice at the beginning, we'd always say Marty shoots on this, and it's pretty much accepted in all the interviews. People do that. You know, this guy shoots on this or shoots on. But I guess I'm so old school that I don't like that word shoot, being in front of something, because for me, the shooting means this is going to be rough. You're about to tell some shit that you didn't.
Or it's said in anger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And raw and it's real.
And the way it's looked at nowadays, that's not necessarily the case.
Well,
so
like
quote unquote, a shoot interview is just something done honestly out of character.
Well, you shoot. So
there's different ways to look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then some people, when they admit to it, it's clickbait. You know, because you're like, oh man, he's going to say something. He shoots on Hogan. Oh God, I got to see this.
Well, I think any interview you do out of character out of gimmick is a shoot interview.
Yeah.
So that is I understand your point of view, but that's just my point of view. I think anytime someone sits down in this chair and then you're not Marty Jannetty talking about a match coming up next Saturday night at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, it's a real interview. It's a shoot interview.
Right.
But a lot of people, they hear the terminology shoot interview and they think, you know, you're coming out guns a-blazing.
Right. And see, the way, man, I'm 36 years in the business. 36 years in the business.
7 actually now. It's 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be, oh yeah. 7 years now, 37 years. When the word shoot first came out, and Dan and I, we had to talk this out, and you know, I see his side, and I think you see my side.
We had a very respectful conversation about it.
You know, it's sort of like the Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
It's the same subject, but you both got.
We looked at it a little different.
Yeah.
And it was respectful.
Yes.
Which is what was most important.
Right. And so, but for me, you know, I'm almost been in the business as long as he's been alive. Right? Because you're 40, 39?
41.
41.
Well, this year I'll be 41.
Well, now.
September.
But so, the word shoot in the industry started way back in Japan. Before Ultimate Fighting and all that stuff, you know, became very popular. The Japanese would call it, oh, what's this match? It's going to be a shoot. And, you know, all the American boys would shoot. What's that mean? Oh, they're going to go out there for real. You know, and they would shoot. They would like, it's not staged. They might give you, like, say, hey, y'all do this, you do this, you do this, you go over. But in the shoot one, it's understood, no, we're going out there and whoever knocks the other one out wins.
Right.
And it's called a shoot. And then the interviews come along. And you know, when somebody would like tell some shit, like say I didn't like Hogan, and I wanted to talk about when he said the N-word, they would say, you know, we remember that, like with his daughter, he didn't want his daughter dating, you know, Brooke. That's such a cute ass thing, man. I held her like this. Hulk would have me watch her, hold her like when he go to the ring. Now she's a grown up. She's like tall too.
We worked with her when we helped with TNA do a fan fest and a pay-per-view up here, and very nice. But you're right, very tall.
God, yes, she is, ain't she? And I didn't shrink down. They measured me the other day. It was 5'8". At the pre-op.
Really?
I say the other day. It's been well on this show. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got upset. I said, "Look, man, I'm only 5'11". Don't take nothing from me." And she goes, "Well, look, I guess from the ankles collapsing, I lost an inch or so there, and being older." It
makes sense.
Yeah, and then being older, your spine compresses, I guess. So I started off short and got shorter. I'm wondering if I can sue the government for building a sidewalk so close to my ass. You know, but anyway, hell, what was we talking about?
We were talking Saturday night's main event. We have to wrap up the show. I'm hearing I got the cue from the back. One question though, with Saturday night's main event was.
Wait, let me finish real quick, and I'll make it fast. To be put on first match used to be, we thought was an insult, like we're no better than curtain jerkers, and then Roddy Piper took us aside. He goes, "It's the biggest compliment you can get." Because it's a pay-per-view. You got all people tuning in, a lot of new faces that don't know much about wrestling, but they're part of a party. That's what, you know, you want to start it off with a bang, so you give what close to your best. You got to have that main event, the one you paid, you know, all that money goes into promoting that show. But you give them the best match, the first match, where it be it a tag, where tags are so easy to do good.
And you know, it's funny.
But don't ever take that as an insult to be put on first in big shows. It's a compliment.
We'll certainly save this for the chronological order we're attempting to do in 1990. But you guys also opened up SummerSlam in '90, just a couple of months before.
Was that where Sean was hurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, you were put out there to set the pace.
Several times. That's why we got upset. And
so one more question before we go though. For Saturday night's main event, did you get the double payoff for those? The payoff from the house and the payoff from NBC, like a lot of the guys?
Not us. We just got the one from WWE.
You didn't get the extra NBC payoff?
Not that I remember. If we did, I don't remember that.
Really?
But
was it a good payoff for the Saturday night main events? What you remember getting?
It wasn't like the pay-per-view.
No, definitely not. But it was definitely enhanced.
I think it was pretty much
better than a house show.
Not really. I was going to say it's pretty much what. If it was a big house, you got a better check. If it was a small venue, then we didn't really make that much. Yeah.
There were a lot of guys.
I might remember that wrong,
maybe
but
remember
I think
it wrong.
I'm pretty sure that it. You know, everybody's wasn't the same. You know, there were some people got treatment different. That's why Nails jumped at Vince that one time when he found out he was wrestling Boss Man. In the same match, that was a pay-per-view.
No, he was angry about the payoff for the match with Virgil at SummerSlam, because that incident happened.
You talking about Nails?
Yeah, the incident happened in December.
Boss Man, but, go ahead.
No, the incident happened in December of '92. The match with the Boss Man was just a couple of weeks before, so they wouldn't have had the buy rate info to give him the payoff yet. He was angry that he only got, I think it was $6,000 for his SummerSlam match with Virgil. Because you know it took a couple of months for you to get those pay-per-view payoffs.
Right. Yeah, it's like 3 months, 2 months back then. Yeah.
So he wouldn't have had his Thanksgiving Survivor Series payoff in December.
Well, all I can do, I was there, and all I can do is say what I know.
Yeah.
Me and Sean were in the ring like we always are. Like, hey, what if we shot a guy that way, and I sling you, and you know, coming up with new stuff. And Nails with Kevin Kelly, who we knew from Kansas City, not Kansas City, AWA in Minneapolis. Him and I got along, we were buddies. I mean, he was somebody you just don't mess with. And I was thankful he was my buddy, but he come out to the ring and he trusted my advice. I think, Nails wasn't there that long. I think he was.
No, not even a year.
Yeah, and he came out to the ring and he goes, "Marty, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Now he's serious about something. Hold on, Sean." He didn't call Sean. I don't think he liked Sean for some reason. I mean, Sean had an attitude back then, but to the point, he says, "I'm going to go, what do you think? I want your opinion first." I'm like, "Okay, what?" He goes, "I'm going to go back there and kick the shit out of Vince McMahon." I'm like, wait a minute, I'm at my ear, what? Yeah, I'm going to, he said Boss Man. He was in the match with Boss Man. Because I would have remembered Virgil. I'm like, man, don't know. Virgil, they just had to take, I would have went a whole different route if it had been Virgil. But he said Boss Man.
But if it was early December, you wouldn't have had your Survivor Series payoff yet.
All I know is all I'm saying is what he said to me.
Okay.
And he said that him and Boss Man were in the same. Were they ever in the same?
Yes, they did work Survivor Series,
Okay,
but would you guys have had a payoff for Thanksgiving
I
in
don't know.
early December?
Again, I'm just saying what was
he
said to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He said, I was in the same match with Boss Man. Why shouldn't I get paid the same? And I was like, I know that does happen, but generally, for the most part, you do get paid the same as your opponent. Now, if you're in a main event type thing, Hogan's going to get more than whoever else. In semi-main, if you're Macho Man and you're working with Rick Martel, Macho might get a little more.
Yeah.
But from mid-card on down, you should be getting the same thing. And I think they were maybe upper mid-card.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. And he found out somehow that Boss Man got paid a good chunk better than him. I don't know what that is, because we didn't quote numbers. He just said, he got paid different than me. I got to feed my family. I got to put food on the table. He's taking food out of my family's mouth. That's the one thing I remember that he said the most, because he was like, Vince is taking food out of my family's mouth. And I was like, well, don't go back there and fuck him up. I mean, that's not going to work. Go talk to him. And he sat there and he thought about it. I said, if you beat him up, you're going to probably get released or fired, or you're going to enter all kinds of trouble. Just go back and tell him what you know, that he didn't get paid the same. Stay calm. Okay, I'll try. And then he turned and he did that nails walk away. That was his real walking life, nails. Kevin Kelly, how he walked. That character was so perfect for him, especially when he grew that beard. And now I know I'm veering. I'm gonna hurry up because we got to go out. It's so funny. A lot of guys find this out. Kevin used to be. He built his body. He was strong as fuck, but he built his body up. I mean, he worked out. He kept the look. Everything good, great build. Unbelievable build. And he was 6'4". Kind of probably started so skinny or something because he was still lean like Rick Rude. He was lean but built like a. And he just was getting nowhere outside of the AWA, and AWA was tumbling. And so he just quit. He gained a lot of weight, grew a beard, looked scruffy and shit. And then he got hired. He was like, God damn, if I'd known this earlier. But so that was, he went to the back. And then later we hear a bunch of screaming. I'm looking at Sean like, this sounds like another one of Davey Boy's thing. What's going on, Dynamite Kid? And so we go sprinting back there. And it was in Green Bay because I remember how the dressing rooms were. And I look around the corner, all the Minneapolis boys, like Mike Enos, Wayne Bloom, what were they called?
Beverly Brothers.
Beverly Brothers, John Nord, all these Minneapolis boys, because Kevin Kelly was Minneapolis. And Barry Darsow, all of them were pulling, he had Vince by the throat. And Vince was going down to his knees, and his eyes, his face was turning purple. I thought he was going to die right there. It looked like he was squeezing the shit out of a cat. And I wouldn't know that because I've never squeezed a cat. But Vince is going down, and he's choking him. They're going to kill him. They're all of them. I think Sergeant Slaughter was in there. I don't know if he's in Minneapolis, but they was the ones pulling Kevin off. And Kevin was smart enough, the first thing he did when they finally got him away, I'm sitting out there and I thought, I don't know if I should say anything to Kevin or run in case he's still mad. But I just kind of backed off, and Kevin walked by, and right 4 feet outside the door, remember now, it was payphone days. There's a payphone in the hallway. He goes right on it, calls the police. He goes, I'd like to make a report. I just got fondled by, it's known that he's a gay man and he does this with us wrestlers, and Vince McMahon just fondled me. So I had to make him stop. And the police came and made a report. But I mean, I don't know whatever
Must
happened.
have been a hell of a day at the TV too.
But I don't know, and I don't know whatever happened now. We know Kevin wasn't back again, but I don't know if he got lawsuited or anything, or if he tried to. But I thought it was smart to protect himself, because usually in incidents like that, it's the one who calls first that they side with. If that was a guilty person like him, But he called first and said he got fondled. He reached out.
Well, and he was smart because he knew that was the year that all those sex and drug scandals were breaking out. So
that's why
he was very, very smart the way, not very ethically, but he was smart in the way he decided to handle it for himself, as far as maybe protecting himself from Vince taking legal action against him.
Right,
Vince
exactly.
had enough legal problems as it
or
was.
you putting him in jail, man, because that's a solid.
And he would live his gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, wrestling fans, we're running out of time on this one. We took a jump leap from 89 to 92 to end it, but for my good friend Marty Jannetty, I'm Dan Marotti. Again, take advantage of all the great offerings we have. If you're watching during the premiere Thursday night, hit that super chat button. Give us a nice meal. Go out for a nice cuisine tonight, maybe, or even a cold adult beverage.
What's that place called? Kowloon. Kowloon.
The world famous Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex.
We won't make it tonight, huh?
We won't make it, baby.
Damn.
All right, Patreon, eBay. We got the T-shirts on BostonWrestling.com, and we got you. Because I know you guys are sharing the links.
Curveball.
I know you're hitting the thumbs up, and I know you're subscribing, and we love you. Because the more you guys help us, the more shows we can give them.
And get in touch with me through Facebook. You promoted my people in Boston. Get in touch with me.
Yeah, we're always looking for sponsors. We're rotating on the screen as we speak. Until we speak again, you and yours be well, stay healthy. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, Tuesday, February the 11th, 1986. It was WWF's debut in Tacoma. In the opening contest, Sivi Afi beat Rene Goulet. Hercules with the win over S.D. Jones. Adrian Adonis defeated George Wells. Cousin Luke victorious over Mr. X. Corporal Kirchner and Dan Spivey beat Nikolai Volkov in the Iron Sheik. Junkyard Dog with the win over Terry Funk. And in the main event, the WWF Intercontinental Champion Macho Man Randy Savage retained the title over George the Animal Steele via countout. If you were in Tacoma live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
All right, Tony, I enjoyed that episode with Marty. I'm going to guess that was why you went to use the men's room.
Yes. I don't want nothing to do with him.
All right, well, Tony thought...
There's a lot of people I don't want nothing to do with anymore.
Tony thought it was the shits, no pun intended, but I kind of liked the episode.
No, the episode was good. I enjoyed the episode.
Oh, well, thank you.
His stories were,
Interesting.
You can't...
What are you eating over there?
No,
what are those?
I got this, see?
Oh, what are they, wipes?
Yeah, I got
You're
some
wiping down your fingers from all that sauce.
My fingers, it's all for the sauce and everything. So I have to wipe my fingers and everything.
Give him a good wiping.
Huh?
Give him a good wiping.
Yeah, so when I touch stuff,
yeah,
I don't get it all over everything.
There must be a lot of Chinese food DNA on that cell phone of yours.
That's what yeah. Good idea there, Dan.
See, well, we're always thinking. All right, fans, Wrestling Insiders Week in Review is not done yet. We're having fun on Saturday night. Again, the Super Chat is open. We're having fun in the Premier Chat. Help tip the bartender again for all of the great fun that we're having with these great legends so we can bring you more episodes. We can bring you more superstars. Coming up next, though, Tony, a man who we see every Friday night after SmackDown at 10 p.m. when the lights in Vince McMahon's SmackDown's Thunderdome go off. his dome lights up. We're talking about John Cena Senior's Fabulous Friday episode. And I tell you, if you were here for the Royal Rumble watch-along we did, the fans were brutal to Johnny about his piece. They were asking him what kind of glue he used. They said he should close the rodent's eyes that were on the top of his head. They were brutal to Johnny. Can you believe it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's a shoot or a work?
Well, no.
The piece.
I wasn't there, so you.
No, I'm talking about his piece. Do you think it's a work or a shoot?
I never gave it a second thought. So once again, you got a subject.
Would you have to give it a tug?
Where you stumped me again?
All right, well,
I'm stumped.
I do my best. All right, wrestling fans, stay tuned. My partner in crime, John Cena Senior, is next. All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Morani, along with the host with the most,
John Cena Senior.
Unbelievable. I'm still waiting to see you for a surprise cameo on Ms. and Mrs. I don't know.
Never know. The Miz and I are good friends.
I don't think the Miz is the one that wants you on the show.
Wow.
All right, Johnny, so much to talk about in the world of professional wrestling. You're a man with limited time. The fans really seem to enjoy our post-Royal Rumble episode we had last Friday night, almost as much as they enjoyed our live Royal Rumble watch-along. They are clamoring for you to be with us next weekend for the Elimination Chamber. That remains to be seen. I know the producers here at the studio are trying to talk to your people out in California and in New York City, and where even the Swiss Alps, I understand you have a few. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but the producers they really have to deal with are the ones in California.
The California ones.
California producers. They're the ones that book me. They're the ones that get me involved. So that's too close for another pay-per-view.
In general, you mean, or to be here?
They just had a pay-per-view.
Well, and then there's another one before WrestleMania.
I understand that.
There's too many.
Yeah, it's just.
But that's one man's opinion.
Well,
but I think we agree.
What's best for business?
Well, $9.99.
Uh-huh.
All right, wrestling fans, one that has had the wrestling world talking, Johnny, and just based upon where we have to tape multiple episodes in one night, as people can probably tell, as we have the same clothes on for several weeks in a row. I don't know. You've never given Margot the walk of shame, have you?
I don't even know who Margot is.
Margot Ouellette.
I no idea.
From Ms. and Mrs. Maurice's mother.
Oh, yes.
She sent, I don't know if I should spoil it, but there's a Valentine's card out in the mailbox here at the studio from M. Ouellette in Los Angeles, California, addressed to you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I'll have to see that when we're done.
All right, Johnny, one thing that's had the world talking, Cecil the Lion's favorite podcast, Joe Rogan. I don't know if you're familiar with the man. Have you ever heard of him? Well, he's got one of the most popular podcasts on the internet. He recently had on his program the one, the only, the phenom, The Undertaker, who joined him for an in-depth conversation about life, the world of professional wrestling, and so on and so forth. And I have to tell you, Johnny, The Undertaker's words really got folk talking, especially in social media. I don't want to misquote Undertaker, so I'm actually we're gonna put some pictures of The Undertaker up as I put the old goggles on. As far as WWE, Undertaker, watching it, he said, I try. It's tough for me right now. The product has changed so much, and it's kind of off. I'll probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. It is what it is. The young guys who think he's a bitter old guy, I'm not bitter. I did my time. I walked away when I wanted to walk away. I just think the product is a little soft. There's guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty and not enough substance, I think, right now. One of the big things that happened was the generation before. We all got old at the same time, so there weren't enough guys to work with the young guys. You can listen to fans or you can listen to someone who's been there and done it. There was just not enough of the merging of young and new talent. When we had Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, we were all working together and then we all aged out. We aged out, and it left all these young guys to learn with more young guys, and the product changed. Along with that, Drew McIntyre said he didn't agree with that whatsoever, but your good friend Bill Goldberg did agree. Yeah, Bill Goldberg said, yes, I believe comparatively the business is soft as compared to the 90s. But the business is in 2021. So things have to change and things have to be different. We had mega superstars that were bigger than life, but it's hard in this generation, seemingly, to build those people. I mean, like I said, times are quite different than they were back in the day, but people are soft. People take offense to things way too quickly. I mean, you know, grow a little thicker skin, boys and girls. That's all I can say. And then Mick Foley thinks the wrestlers of today are every bit as tough as they were back in that era. So we have some conflicting points of view right there, Johnny. First of all, what do you think of The Undertaker trying to be very politically correct and burying WWE right now?
No, I don't think The Undertaker buried anybody.
Oh, I sure do.
I don't think so.
For a man of his stature in that company to say that the company is soft?
You know what?
That's a politically correct way of saying they're a bunch of pussies. Am I wrong?
You know what? Everything is taken out of context.
Oh, I don't think that's taken out of context at all, but your opinion, sir.
Well, I think The Undertaker basically is saying that when he was involved in the business, it was rougher, it was tougher. The generation was a complete different generation. One of the things that he was involved in was the attitude adjustment. Was where there was
the
no
attitude era.
Yeah, there was no. Yes, my son's attitude adjustment. There, because I give that move once in a while. But I think that's what he's after. I don't think he's as you put it, pissing on anybody, trying to demean the WWE product. It's just changed so radically that it's difficult for people, even me, when I sit and look at the product. I go, whoa, that's not wrestling. When you look at the punches, when you look at the sell, it's just not there. It's not the same. And so I have to agree with Goldberg, and I have to agree with The Undertaker. Mick, you're a good friend. You and I go back a long, long way. I mean, you are, boy, I tell you, we're great. But I disagree with what you said. Take a look at what you did in your career and show me anyone today that's even come close to that. Show me any wrestler in the ring that can do what The Undertaker or Goldberg did in their prime. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, John Cena. Show me any one of those people that can go through that gamut and do what you've done. You know what? They're all out there for the pretty boy effect. Even the promos are not real. It's even look at the wrestling. Even that is sadly not real. I have to agree and say, Undertaker, kudos to you. You haven't buried anybody. You've said it like it is. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. And we can agree to disagree and still be friends. And I think for a man that gave his body, and I mean he really gave his body, The Undertaker, to do what he did and to turn around and say what he said, he's being honest and he's being upfront. Backed up by Goldberg, another guy that gave 150%. He knows because he's at the point now where he can see it's not what it used to be. 2021, it's a whole different gamut, a whole different style of wrestling. Wrestling is wrestling. It's not about going out and being pretty. It's not about going out and being the superstar. It's going out there and giving 250% and entertaining the fans. Some guy that still got it, Randy Orton. I got to tell you something. He and I have been around the block, but take a look at the way the man operates. He still has that.
And he's a few months older than me.
But take a look at him. He's still
in better shape, though.
Yeah, but he still has that.
Yeah.
What you and I are looking for. The type of professional wrestling that The Undertaker and Goldberg and I, and even you, Dan Marotti, are used to seeing. Look at the product now.
Orton is one of the last of the Mohegans.
Definitely, no question.
Without a doubt.
Now you've got some guys coming back in, but they're not going to be able to perform at that level. Edge, Christian, Carlito. You know what? You're sitting back and you go, wait a minute, you guys are 46 years old. You're almost pushing 50. You can't do what was done before. You're certainly going to try. There's a good reason you're back in the WWE. That's to help these young people, to get these guys and ladies on board so they understand what it's all about. So we go back to that era where professional wrestling was wrestling, not a show, not an episode. but professional wrestling. Mark, Callis, Undertaker, hat off.
Johnny, I got to ask you this, and it's an interesting thought, because you have Undertaker saying what we just spoke of. Goldberg, the comments that he made. Steve Austin has been very, very adamant over several years now about how bad he thinks certain aspects of WWE are. How is it that where every indication, every level of popularity is declining across the board within the company, whether it be Vince McMahon, whether it be another senior official or advisor, hasn't really said, you know what, we have to hit the pause button and we have to implode what we're doing and almost start from scratch to try and maybe not reinvent the wheel, but maybe get it to spin a little bit better to the point where the car moves in the way that people enjoy it again. When you have a WWE network where you can access that 80s boom, when you have the WWE network, when you can look at things in the Attitude Era that maybe, if you don't want to go the TV-14 route, which you may not want to, but there are things that can be modernized and tweaked to maybe fit that rating that they're trying to look for. Why not go back in time and look at the things that have worked as opposed to, again, we have Las Vegas behind us, what a lot of people equate to almost like Cirque du Soleil. It's almost like ballet, what they try and do out there nowadays in certain aspects. It's like Kevin Nash says. The wrestlers, he walked into locker rooms, it looked like he was sitting with a group of tough-looking, rugged men. Now they're like Abercrombie and Fitch models. So, I mean, there's so much lacking. And I say this on a more positive note. I think right now in 2021, you probably have the greatest group of athletes that's ever been on one roster at any given time as far as what they can physically do. But as far as their presence, as far as the pacing, as far as the work goes, the promos really, you can't put the blame on the talent. They're not trained thespians that got into wrestling to recite 3- and 4-page scripts. They got in because they wanted to perform athletic violence. You know what I mean? And it is the furthest thing from an athletic presentation of competition and violence. It just seems like stunts more often than not. And I think fans are sick of it. And I think that's why you have so many, before the coronavirus, when life was normal, every aspect of the business was down, from the network subscriptions to the merchandise to the live event attendance. I think licensing was down. The streaming went up a little bit during the virus, but everybody's streaming went up during the virus because people wanted something to watch. It's not a good sign when everything you see continues to plummet. However, the magic works. WWE seems to have found the formula where, again, as we noted, the ratings continue to go down, or at least they've plateaued a little bit near those record lows. But they come up with a near $1 billion deal with NBC to stream WWE Network on Peacock. So it's amazing that even though it's content that fans have scoffed at, they're still making so much money off of it. It's ironic.
Do you think the problem is that it's become more of a business proposition rather than a wrestling proposition?
I think they're more interested in quantity than quality. Okay, I think they're more interested in pumping out as much content as humanly possible that they can monetize across digital platforms, across televised platforms, than they are the actual quality of what it is they're presenting. And I think at some point, maybe it's not 2021, but at some point, it's going to get to the point where NBC says, okay, we love having you. You're one of the highest rated properties on TV, but this is too low. It could get to the point where Fox says, you know what, this is great. It's better than having UFC 17 times a year, having WWE 52 times, but this is too low, and they're not going to be able to renew deals at what they're getting now, and then the revenue is going to drop. And that right now is the primary revenue driver for the company, you know? So it's very interesting to watch. As someone that loves the business, to me it also scares me a little bit. Because I think when that happens, especially in a publicly traded company, that's going to mean people's jobs. And I think what happened in April was absolutely devastating for a company that could afford to take that blow with some of the people that were released and furloughed at that point. I'm a WWE stockholder. I want them to invest my money the best they can. But you know what? For those 30 or so people that got canned with nowhere to go, I think it could have been handled a little different. One man's opinion. But what do you think of ultimately right now with the direction? I mean, it's what they negotiated with Peacock, with NBC. That's a hell of a business deal.
That is, and I think that NBC believes that they're going to be the creme de la creme of the wrestling business. Be careful, AEW is the silent tortoise. It's coming slow, but it's coming. How did the tortoise beat the hare? And this is what they're not looking at. They're looking at putting nickels and dimes in a coffer instead of paying more attention to the product to make it better. And nothing against that, but I think when you look at what we're talking about, the writing sucks. There's no question about it. Whoever's back there writing doesn't know what they're doing, obviously. The stars, you're right. Kevin Nash hit the nail on the head. How many guys back there look like wrestlers? It's all pretty boy. And you know what? That's not what we're after. We're after, get a couple of fat guys in there. Look at Haystacks Calhoun. That guy, I mean, God rest his soul. Yeah, well, Otis, nah, he doesn't quite fit the bill. That's just taking a young man, using him, and I'll guarantee you, in 8 months, you won't see that guy anymore.
And I tell you this, Johnny, I've noted a couple of times, whether it's been with you or with other co-hosts when we've had a little chuckle at Otis, the guy has a legitimate shooting background. Jerry Briscoe recruited him. I mean, this is a guy in real life. He might not, he might look kind of like a pudgy, funny little guy. But I mean, if he got you in a hold, he would cause you extreme physical harm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But they've gone the route of presenting him as a goof. And I think, you know what? There's room for goofs in wrestling. But the problem is, at least with Otis, as I've noted, they've overpushed Otis to the point now where they almost don't even use Otis anymore because the fans got sick of him being on 6 or 7 segments a week. It happened to Eugene, who I thought was a great talent. Remember when he came in as the challenged nephew of Eric Bischoff? Yeah. And again, you took a guy that the fans took to, and then he's on Raw 4 or 5 times a week. And then by that summer, when they got to SummerSlam in Toronto and he worked Triple H, he got booed out of the building. He got the Cena treatment. Nothing against John, but you know where I'm coming from. I mean, they turned on Eugene like no tomorrow, and he never came back from it. Zach Gowen, a guy with one leg. You talk about a unique story.
Yeah, I worked with him.
They put him out there with Vince, and again, he's in 4 or 5 segments a show, and he got Zach Gowen out. So I think the same fate is going to fall upon Otis unless they come up with something a little different for the guy. And it's a shame.
Take the comedy out of professional wrestling. It doesn't belong there. No, it doesn't belong there. I don't care about the... I don't care what you say.
The fans wanted you to do that during the Royal Rumble, and you wouldn't.
I don't care what you do. I just think that, for some reason, they think that this is funny. It's demeaning.
I think you're funny. Your imitation was funny, but anyway.
That's all right. It's demeaning. It's demeaning. It doesn't do anything for the business. You know what? Bring the guy on as a wrestler. Let him crack. Let him go nuts. Let him be a George the Animal Steel. That's what we're missing. Take a look at wrestling when I watched it at the Garden. I get a lot of years on you. I'll be 60 this year. A lot of years on you. And I sit back and I say to myself, George the Animal Steel, Jimmy Snuka, Pedro Morales, wrestlers, Bruno Sammartino, the Wolfman, Andre is a giant. I want to tell you, Mr. Heenan, I beat him too bad. Bobby the Brain, look at what we had, Lou Albano. That was wrestling. But they had comedy in between, but you never knew it was comedy. This is crazy.
Serious characters can do humorous things.
Yes.
But when you send someone out as just a humorous character, there's a very limited shelf life, or it should be saved for someone with no talent, no future. Save it for an undercard guy.
I don't get it.
Not someone that you want to do something with.
I get awful tired of, Big E, Kofi, and Wood. I get tired of that.
3 great athletes, but...
Yeah, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. It's over. It's over. And what are you doing for these 3 guys? You see when I saw Kofi on the Royal Rumble? I said, what do they do to him? What kind of look is that?
You know what? I hate to say it. And Kofi, he worked with us in the MWF. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Even his brother's a good egg when we run into him at the Garden. He's always nice to little Marati. But oh, we want Kofi as champion. Oh, we want Kofi as champion. So at WrestleMania 35, what did WWE do?
Made him champion.
They gave the internet fans everything they wanted. They gave Kofi the belt. They had Rollins crush Lesnar, and they made Becky Lynch the champion in the women's main event the first time ever.
Back.
And let me tell you this, what happened in 2019, business was so bad they were regularly canceling house shows for the first time in decades. The TV tapings were empty on the side of the building with the hard camera. It was a complete and utter disaster. Why? Because even though Kofi is one of the elite athletes in the history of WWE, they didn't present him as a serious guy who sometimes did funny things. They presented him as a goof. And funny doesn't equal money. You know what? If Floyd Mayweather came out tossing pancakes to the crowd on the way to the ring, you think he would have been making the money he made? If Mike Tyson was cracking jokes in the 80s before he was kicking someone's ass in 90 seconds, you think he would have been the draw that he became?
And that's what they're missing.
Right.
You know, they should sit down and look at their own tapes.
Exactly.
And they should sit down and Vince.
It's not like they're AEW that only has a year of background.
They've gone backwards.
This is a company that goes back to the 1960s.
Yeah, but I'm with Undertaker. They've gone backwards. They haven't gone forwards. I don't mean backwards in a good way. They've gone backwards to a stage production. That's not what it is. It's professional wrestling. Let's make these wrestlers work. Let's make them do what they really love to do, and that's get out there and wrestle.
Or at least I'd like to see someone have I'll use the word, the balls, maybe to stand up to Vince and you say, you know what? If you believe this is the product that the fans enjoy best, fine. But let's see if maybe there's a different route where we can take, where we have either Raw or SmackDown remain the way it is now as the sports entertainment entity that it is, and then on the flip side, we make the opposite show, we bring it back to more of a professional wrestling traditional program and see which one the fans like better.
The second one's going to knock it out of the park.
Well, it's like they claim they want to be entertainment. They want to be Hollywood. Not every, look at Universal or look at MGM. Every movie they produce isn't rated exactly the same with the same content. There's G, there's PG, there's PG-13, there's R, there's X, like with What Margot Wants to Do with You, but that's a different story for a different time. You know, there's variety, and I don't know why WWE doesn't want more variety.
I don't understand either, but again, my hat's off.
They're making the good money, but here's the thing. If they're making the money they're making now with the content they're pumping out now, imagine if it was a hot product with the money they'd be making right now. Look at where our stock would be.
Well, just remember one thing. People are confined to their homes right now, basically. They're watching more TV than ever. Wait till the door opens. TVs are going to go dead. Then NBC can do whatever they want, and the Peacock will probably dump. That's how good it's going to be. Because people, you know what? It's like going to a buffet. How many times can you go up and eat the same thing? And that's what they're doing. They're spreading themselves too thin. You know, it's like the guy selling hot dogs in Central Park. He sold them for 75 cents, and they said, you get the best hot dog in the world. It went to $1. Oh, this is fantastic hot dog. It went to $1.50. Great. Less sales, but he still had a great hot dog. You get the best hot dog in the world. Went to $2.25 and didn't have any business. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Exactly what we're doing. We're spreading the peanut butter real thin on the bread. Real thin on the bread. And look what we have in there to support the faction, to produce the product. It's just not working. It's really, in some cases, not a watchable product.
You know, it's funny. A great analogy is back before the virus hit, to try and cover the losses and the decline in attendance, they keep raising the ticket prices to where the average ticket price to go to a show was about $45. But as the virus hit, which is almost a great thing to cover the declines in the business, because I think they would have continued to decline, the boosting the ticket prices wasn't enough to cover the loss of people that were going to the shows, and I think that's sad. But Johnny, another interesting episode. Any final thoughts in a word or two on what you would do to try and enhance WWE and make it more enjoyable for fans of every age?
Probably change the writing staff.
Yeah.
Probably have staff that understands professional wrestling business. Probably get back to professional wrestling. Get those stars that are interested in being wrestlers, and let's do wrestling. not go out and do acrobatic skits or poor promos. Let's get back to the way we should be. And again, Undertaker, you're right, it is getting soft. It has gotten soft.
We need Tony on to talk about ED, I guess.
Whatever.
All right, wrestling fans, we want to know what you think. If you're watching the premiere on Friday night after SmackDown and you're chatting away with Slick Rick B, J.A. Will, H&M Limousine down in New Jersey, and all our other great friends, leave your thoughts. Or, if you're not watching live, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Myself and Mr. Cena love to know what you guys think. As always, we will be back 1 week from tonight when the lights in the Thunderdome go dim. Johnny's Dome can only light up. I don't know, maybe we'll even see him for Elimination Chamber. Maybe he'll come out of one of the pods unexpectedly at Elimination Chamber in Tampa. Who knows? Expect the unexpected in the world of WWE. For John Cena Senior, I'm Dan Marati. We will see you this Tuesday night, 10 p.m. with the Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Be well, stay healthy. Enjoy the weekend, folks. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Orlando Arena in Orlando, Florida, Sunday, February the 12th, 1989, the WWF's first event in the arena. In the opening contest, rugged Ronnie Garvin battled Mr. Perfect to a time-limit draw. Hillbilly Jim, who replaced Jim Duggan, beat Dino Bravo in a flag match. WWF Tag Team Champions Demolition retained the titles over the Powers of Pain via disqualification. Brutus the Barber Beefcake with the win over $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. The Blue Blazer victorious over Dangerous Danny Davis. Bret Hitman Hart battled the Honky Tonk Man to a double countout. And in the main event, Andre the Giant defeated Jake the Snake Roberts. If you were in Orlando live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
All right, Tony, I tell you, John Cena Sr., what a unique time he spent in wrestling back in the 70s. He promoted some spot WWF shows. He main evented Monday Night Raw against Randy Orton in 2007. I mean, how many people can you say are a second generation person after their son? It's unique.
Very unique.
And he has, I'll say one thing about Johnny. He may not be a legend or a Hall of Famer like you, but he's got a very unique point of view and perspective about our fine industry.
Oh yeah. You know,
he's a smart man.
Yeah, he's a very smart, intelligent man. And what I do know about it, he's a great father, because John Cena's success that he had came from his father. His father nurtured him and nurtured his career and helped him to get his career off the ground, helped and raise him to be a fine, respectable young man. There's a lot of kids. The parents, they don't come out good, but John Cena came out excellent. It was all because good parents, good kids. Bad parents, bad kids.
I don't know if I should reveal something that Johnny has suggested that he would like us to do in 2021, but he's very interested in us trying to produce a cooking show with the two of you. I don't know if you know that Johnny has great culinary skills.
No, I didn't know
He knows you like to cook.
Right.
He has a big almost restaurant quality kitchen up at the Cena Mansion in Newburyport, Massachusetts.
Right.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Well,
Tony and Johnny cooking?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to try.
Definitely not. All right, wrestling fans, we are running out of time on this Saturday night. Again, we ask you to check out in the description box below the link to our eBay store. We have great wrestling merchandise here, there, and everywhere. This wonderful human being, Tony Atlas, is available for commissioned artwork, personal appearances. He'll do birthday parties, he'll do bar mitzvahs, he'll do just about anything. He'll travel to you, and you'll have the time of your life. Believe me, as someone that's experienced it dozens, if not hundreds of times, the Tony Atlas experience live.
Yep, and I would do the family pack.
And he'll draw family pets. He'll draw human beings.
Oh, you
he'll
want
draw.
me to draw? I thought you want me to do them.
Oh, you'll do the. Well, that's a different story for. We'll have to do. It's a good thing this is on late night Saturday night, fans. We hope you had a really good time.
Come here, Roma.
If you had fun, the Super Chat is a great way to help the cause. The PayPal is open for business too if you want to send us a little love so we can get this man some more chicken wings. And of course, to me, the most important thing is that Patreon. Early ad-free access to every Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interview talk show. We do 4 a week. You get access to that studio shoot interview DVD library. It's been seen by millions online. It was seen by millions on the Howard Stern Show. You get some exclusive content not available anywhere else. And most important to me, you help professional wrestling legends like Tony and so many others keep working. The coronavirus has killed them. It has killed them. We're going on 11 months now without regular live wrestling events for them to work. We're going on 11 months of almost non-existent autograph signings. We're going on 11 months of almost non-existent fan fests. That is how legends like Tony survive. We need to keep these guys working. If we can do just a little bit in this humble studio.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center in Salisbury, Maryland, Sunday, February the 13th, 1983. The opening contest, Tony Gurria and Eddie Gilbert beat Sweet Hansen and Baron Mikel Cicluna. Salvatore Bellomo with the win over Kurt Hennig. S.D. Jones defeated Charlie Fulton. WWF Intercontinental Champion Don Morocco retained the title over WWF Tag Team Champion Jules Strongbow. Rocky Johnson victorious over Buddy Rose. And in the main event, the WWF World Champion Bob Backlund retained the title over Mr. Fuji, who replaced superstar Billy Graham. If you were in Salisbury Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep wrestling legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Senior's Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.